on a disk floating through space with a tiny sun.
Hey, I'm FTFE. Welcome back to the channel that ties stupidity to the train tracks of knowledge. We actually have a debate tonight because someone's turned up, which is amazing because the past 3 attempts, my opponent actually didn't come. So, yeah. Tonight I have a gentleman that calls himself a Cruel Vision. What should I actually call you? Because do you want me to call you Cruel or?
You can call me Will.
Will. Okay. So this is Will. Welcome to the channel, Will. Obviously you've watched some of my stuff before. You were aware that I debate flat earthers and such. So would you just like to take a few minutes to tell the people why you're here?
Yeah, it's basically regarding the photo and the debate with Russian vids. So I like the photo and everything. I just feel like I want to clarify that debate in general that took place with Russian vids, but also to make my attempt at debunking the photo also.
Okay. So what's your opinion on the shape of the Earth?
My personal opinion, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a flat earther because the only thing that I know is that it's not a spinning space ball, and that's pretty much unanimous with my whole network in general. But you would have to have real photographs, you know what I mean? 100% real photographs, not images, not any kind of data strips, nothing like that. Just real photographs, which should be easily attainable, but they, seem to not be able to produce those.
Funny.
So I would say, well, now I'm not talking about the regular photographs that we see on a daily basis or the artist renditions. But also from like my background with like a language standpoint, a photograph and an image in a way are 2 different things, and they need to be 100% clarified. So that's kind of what I do. So I'm not necessarily just a flat earther or just a glober. I'm actually more of a truther. So my main mission is to spread truth, not any kind of, and not my own assumptions or theories or anything like that. So me personally, I think every flat earther just wants a real photograph, not a data strip or an artist rendition or anything like that.
You are aware that those exist, right? Like we've had them since 1972. The blue marble taken with a Hasselblad camera, 80mm film, a physical camera, not computer, not composite, not strips, an actual full photo of the Earth that's existed since Apollo 17.
Yeah, I'm aware of all of those particular types of pictures and things like that, but my viewpoint on all of those still stands with how blue marble even came, and just comparing it each year to the original photos to all of the digital photography or everything else there. I just so I don't really talk about a lot about those particular types of pictures. It's 2019, so we should be able to just get a real picture.
A really pretty good image every 10 minutes. That's a full shot of Earth as well.
That's from the Himawari.
Yeah, and I can prove conclusively that that's real, like 100%.
Yeah, but I like I said, I can't get into that because I think that would be a 3-hour conversation alone for me to go in and actually try and debunk that. Like I said, it's plenty of information out there. I don't, as far as satellites and, different places where the Himawari actually gets its photography and things like that from. It's been connected with airplanes, a lot of other things, but that's a whole nother topic.
Okay. What about the Discover satellite? Also gives us regular photos of Earth. EchoStar 11 gave us 24-hour streams of Earth for a long time.
Yeah, I'm aware of all of those. I'm actually a technical background, so I didn't really get to explain my background. I do electric engineering, more or less, electronic engineering. But I was a computer information systems major, and computer science was where I got my degree and things like that. So I'm all things entertainment. So whether that's from photography to special effects to software, just all things technical, pretty much is where I come from. So I'm aware of all of the have and all the pictures and things like that. But like I said, if there was conclusive evidence of it, I'm sure there wouldn't be a whole flat Earth debate happening right now.
I mean, there would, because people are going to argue it no matter what. And there is.
Oh, I'm not
I'm
that kind of guy. I want to make sure that's 100%. Yeah. I agree. I agree with you. I'm not that guy. If somebody can show me enough conclusive evidence, I take it with that. It's just more or less, if someone were to show me, and this is originally how I actually started, getting into this. If someone were to show me something and like what you would do, for instance, and then someone shows me something else and there's conclusive evidence of that on both sides. For instance, if you show me a picture or a photograph, and then someone shows me testimony from different people, or not just that, but just in general, even NASA themselves saying that they are artist renditions. That's a problem.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, are you referring to the it's Photoshop because it has to be thing?
No, not necessarily. As far as like NASA goes and things, there's certain channels like Veracity people can check out if they want to see a lot of NASA just basically lying and failing at what they do. When I first started researching some of this, this was a while ago, but I actually used to watch Tyler from Secure Team 10. So he actually just got a lot of people's UFO footage and all this NASA footage and all this stuff, and it seemed like a never-ending rabbit hole. So I don't know if you're fans, if you're like a fan of Secure Team and what he does in general, but it was a never-ending rabbit hole. But there was some stuff that he touched on, which was stuff about different cover-ups that dealt with government here in the U.S., different types of people going missing, different types of reports written up, and it was a lot for you to actually look into and research on your own. And he actually had some decent content when he started doing that. And then somewhere along the line, he changed it and started, pushing a alien agenda. So every time that he sees something, whether it's from NASA or whether it's CGI or whether it's fake, even footage, proven to be fake, it's somehow alien related. And I started seeing that. And, one of the things actually was from the volcanoes on Mars. If you remember that, the volcanoes on Mars, this was probably from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. You would have to check out his page, but he has a video on it where he actually was talking about it. And I don't know exactly who it was, but somebody had released a photo showing like one of the volcanoes supposedly on Mars erupting or something, and then NASA showed one where it wasn't, and all this doctoring of photos and things like that. And I don't know, after a while it kind of got to the point where you're just chasing your tail, and me being a truther, I wanted to find just truth, not
Well, the thing is, we're saying that NASA are doctoring photos and stuff. There's never actually been any evidence that NASA have doctored photos. If NASA say it's an artist rendition, then they're straight up saying it's an artist rendition. There's never been a time where NASA have said this is a real photo and it's not been a real photo, like ever. And anyone who has attempted to analyze the photo in any way hasn't done it correctly. So it's fair enough you saying all these, oh, well, NASA show you this and then there's that, but NASA have never actually given anything that could be considered fake, because it's all been proven to not be fake. And I've never actually had anything presented to me to suggest otherwise.
So when you say fake, are you talking about the NASA photographs, like the NASA artist renditions?
Yeah,
or what do you mean
if
fake?
they say it's an artist rendition, it's an artist rendition. They put out a lot of photos, a lot of images that are, a concept. This is what it might look when Juno is going into Jupiter. This is what it might look like when this particular rover lands on Mars. But they never do that and say this is an actual image. if they are giving an actual image, then it's an actual image.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. I'm not really. It's more or less when you actually, pretty much. Let me see if I can take it back a little bit. Back in the '70s, for say, we didn't have the exact same equipment that we have today,
No.
and it's more or less that our technology that we can buy ourselves, outlives the lie that's been perpetrated on everybody. So you don't really need NASA anymore to tell you what they can do, what they can't do, what they can see. And I think what it is with this movement is people have taken it in their own hands now to be able to record instantaneously, to zoom in on the moon, to spend thousands of dollars to buy these telescopes, massive telescopes. And the things that they are seeing isn't necessarily the same things that NASA is seeing, or showing. But the thing with NASA, you mentioned earlier, a few seconds ago, about them, releasing certain things. I don't have all of that with me, but NASA actually puts out a lot of things. They, throughout the entire scientific community, they tweet a lot and they put out a lot of things. Now, some of the people that I've worked with analyzes everything that they put out, and I've literally seen them put things out saying that this is an image of this, and down at the bottom they're saying this is a artist rendition.
Yeah.
So I do understand what you mean.
Artist rendition.
Right. But I think, and that's one of the biggest problems, is that people just want photographs. So like I said, I'm only here for truth. It's not necessarily, like my background with it. I started all of this studying government, politics, technology, stuff like that, and cover-ups from history to religion and occult to, esoteric and things like that in depth, for just the occult alone, 10, 15 years. So, and I hear a lot of people talk about that in general, and a lot of them don't believe certain things, you know what I mean? And they don't, they say that this is fake, that's fake. And from a person who's actually been, involved in that type of thing, I can personally vouch, and actually say that it's real. But like I said, just the same as what you said earlier, there's always going to be deniers. So, I mean, I completely understand what you mean with the with the NASA thing. I think the artist rendition, more or less, the artist renditions are not helping NASA's calls. So, and one of the biggest things that turned me off with NASA, because I didn't really get to tell you this, was them losing the telemetry data of the moon landings. So if people die to get to the moon, and it's the greatest archaeological, well, more or less, it's the greatest achievement in mankind, it's unacceptable to lose the telemetry data. And I think, I don't know if you're from overseas, I'm here in America, and that's not forgivable. So anybody who is, awake, even moderately, would say that that's not acceptable at all, and I'm one of the first ones. So I never looked into NASA. And most of the people that I've debated with, in general, even just talked to, whether, years ago, whenever I would just talk to people, I would just ask them, and they're like, "Hey, you don't believe in the moon missions?" And I'm like, "No." They're like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm just like, "When did they go to the moon? What year?" And they have no idea. I said, "How many times did they go to the moon?" They have no idea. So most of the people just automatically defend NASA. NASA is a big boy, and I think NASA can defend themselves. They get a lot of money to do that. And I know you mentioned, or, your network in general, about, them having like 18,000 employees. I understand everybody has to get paid, but the main thing is that the money that Americans are spending is actually going to a cause that they can say they got something out of. I wouldn't be having this debate with you at all if NASA did not lose the telemetry data. Well, so they're really not helping. They're not helping their calls. Is more or less where I'm getting.
The whole they lost their telemetry data isn't quite as people say. There were some backup tapes that were lost, but they do actually have the majority of the data from the moon landings. Some of the stuff was on some of the stuff was on media formats that isn't as long lasting as it is now. And it is unusual, but they do actually have hundreds of thousands of hours of telemetry data from the moon landings. And it's not just NASA that has this, it's independent third-party sources that also have all their telemetry data that matches up with what NASA did. But the moon landing is a whole other thing that.
Yeah, but I'm not really seeing all of that. I mean, and I don't think a lot of people are, and I'm the type of guy, I just have to hear somebody say that it exists. So I'm not doubting you in that. I'm just saying that that's stuff that I have to see for myself. And so far, I just haven't been able to actually see it to the point of it being, and I have heard, similar stuff to what you just said about it being, outdated to a certain degree. I understand that. But like I said, it is one of the biggest achievements of mankind. So it is important, you know what I mean? And there's records from minor things that they still have from, hundreds of years ago. It's just not acceptable to lose that. So that's kind of where I build my complete standpoint on, my issue with NASA and my issue with all of that. I just want the truth out. That's pretty much it. I'm not here to make fun of Globers. I'm not here to do any of that, because I was taught the exact same thing in school. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
If satellites, etc.
All right, so let's get into it then. You said you have an issue. You were watching the debate between MC Toon and Russian Vids on my channel. And you had an issue with, let me just get it up. He was showing an observation that he'd taken. And when he compresses it from left to right, it quite clearly shows that there's a curve. Right. So as far as I'm concerned, this is pretty conclusive evidence that there is curvature to the Earth. What was your issue with this?
Okay, well, there's a few. There's a few. So I'll actually just start with one, and then you can let me know what you think. First, I want to say I acknowledge that I can see curvature in that particular photograph. So I'm not on here saying, okay, I don't see any curvature. I think you're lying, etc. No, it's nothing like that. I see the same thing you see. I see that there's actually curvature in that photograph. And the reason why I felt like I really wanted to actually debate you with this photograph is because I think this photograph actually had a huge, it has the potential to actually be very, very, like a huge conclusive type of evidence, but there's just holes with it. There's just problems with it. So one of my like I'll open it up with the first one that I have with it. Is that the only photograph that you have of that location?
That specifically, yes, because that was taken by MC Toon. So as far as I'm aware, that is the only photographs he had of that particular location.
Okay, all right. See, and therein lies the a little bit of the problem. It's just one photograph, and it could so you have to have a data set. So what I'm trying to debunk here is the whole premise behind that entire picture. More or less, you would say that that's a picture showing Earth's curvature. So Earth's curvature in that picture right there is your independent variable, which has to be manipulated by your independent variable for it to be considered an experiment. But that's not the main thing. The main thing is I work with digital photography, et cetera, stuff like that. And the first thing I could actually blame that on is something called a rolling shutter. Have you heard of that at all?
Yeah, I know what a rolling shutter is. So when a camera takes an image, especially on a video, it does it from like top left going down in scan lines. So, for instance, if you were looking at a rotating blade that was being taken with a rolling shutter, the image that you would get would be of a warped blade, because when it actually takes the particular images, the blades are in more positions for different frames.
Right. And the main thing of why I say I like the picture is because I want the picture to have absolutely no doubt. But as long as there's holes in it, there's always room for doubt. So every time that I try and debate with somebody, I try and remove all of the doubt and all of the other possibilities that anything can possibly be. So I'm not saying that a rolling shutter is causing that effect, but I am saying that from my experience with it, the rolling shutter, the lens, and those type of things could have an effect on that, which is why I asked you, is that the only picture? So I think that for my first claim against it. There should have been multiple cameras when, you know, this picture was being taken, multiple cameras, different lenses, things like that, just to make sure that it's not the rolling shutter. Mm-hmm.
But would a rolling shutter really affect still images in that way?
It actually affects the still images and the video. It pretty much, like I said, and all of the cameras are different. That's part, you know, there's some like this interlay, some are progressive, and all of it is a different type of method for capturing. And, you know, all of it plays a role. And that's why I say you have to have a data set. So if you don't have that data set, I don't understand, you know, how just one picture,
so,
you know, but I
go into a location and taking some, you know, some images on their own isn't enough. You're saying there has to be multiple sources from that one location, different cameras, etc.
Yeah, to eliminate all doubt with it, yeah. But like I said, that's only one, you know. So for instance, if I go there where you took that picture and I take another picture with the same setup and I get something different, what would be the next claim from that? You know, if I take a picture of something.
That's the thing. That's why something like this is completely repeatable. That's one thing we keep getting told by flat earthers is, oh, well, we need you know, observable, testable, repeatable things, and this is something that is repeatable, and it doesn't just have to be from that particular location. For instance, there's a subscriber of mine and a good content creator called Tommy Gronveld. He took this image at a location where he is, and using the same method, compressed it from left to right, and again, you get curvature. Thank you, Tommy, for sending me that. So it's not like we just have that one particular image that shows curvature in that way. In fact, Red's Rhetoric has literally done it live with some images that him and Sean Hufford took on a Mavic drone. Sean, if you're in the chat, could you send me that image that Red's compressed left to right? And he's literally done it live with, he's got the images that he's taken and then he's compressed it left to right live to show that the curve appears. So it's not like we only have this particular observation of that phenomenon. We you know, so many people that are doing this now go out and get their own observations and are able to conclusively show that there is quite clearly a curvature when you're taking images.
Okay, no. Okay, I understand that. Who compressed the photo?
This would be this one or the one we were talking about earlier, or this one?
The new one that you have up. No, not that one.
This one is Tommy Gronveld. There's a guy in the chat at the moment. He's got his own channel, and he does his own observations and stuff. So he's done this himself. And as you can see, the if you look at the wooden bar, it's straight, and when it's compressed it's still straight, so there's no like warping or anything to the image. The only difference is that it's been compressed from left to right, and then it shows clearly that there's a curve in the horizon behind it.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking who did the compression of the photograph. Was that you?
No, that would be Tommy himself as well.
Okay. All right. I understand that, but that's kind of like a different location. So I'm also like, I understand what you mean, like where you're getting at, but I mean multiple pictures from the exact same location with multiple cameras is where I was getting at for my point with. I do understand what you mean, as in other people are taking, and that kind of brings me up to my next, you know, issue with it. But
I need to clarify one point. Sorry, this actually wasn't taken by MC Toon. Someone's just reminded me that this was actually taken by another YouTuber called Rory, and it was a set of over 150 images from that location.
Okay, with the same camera or different cameras?
I'm assuming it would have been with the same camera. I'm not sure, but Rory has it all on his YouTube channel that anyone can look at. Rory take ownership of the series are publicly available, not just the one picture. Yeah, so
okay, now that's one thing. That's digital photography also. So I'm also talking about regular cameras as well. So that's why I say when you're really doing a full experiment, it's a really in-depth process. So I actually like the photograph, and I acknowledge the photograph. but it's also digital photography. It's not the original, standard old school photography and things. But and all of these things can play a certain part. But my next thing that I wanted to ask you about with that was the software that you're using for compression. Is that, do you have the name of that particular software? Or
I'm pretty sure it's just done in Paint, as in you just take the image and you compress it from left to right.
Yeah, I've seen that. With me, also, point for it was, with me, I work with a lot of different types of software. So I work with for special effects like Blender and Element 3D. After Effects, things like that.
Yeah, I'm using all that myself.
Recording as well. I've been doing recording for almost 23 years now.
Yeah, I've got to say, I actually enjoy the stuff. I looked on your YouTube channel, and I very much enjoy it. It reminds me of the band that did my intro song. What do you think of the intro?
Oh yeah, I did notice that. I like it. Yeah, I like that. Thank you. I appreciate it. We don't really do a lot of music anymore. I'm actually I do multiple genres, so that's kind of as a side note with me. But I've been doing that for years now. So I've been using a lot of different software, especially in college and stuff. I was actually writing software and things like that. And that's kind of where I was getting at with. I'm not saying that there's a problem with Paint, so I don't want you to think that there's an issue with that. It's not a problem with that. I was wondering about whether or not you have other softwares that you're doing the compression with to actually see if there's, because like I said, in Pro Tools, for instance, and other softwares, they all render things differently. Everything renders things 100% differently. Just music-wise, it might, round off the low end or square off the low end or crunch the mids or raise the mids. And certain things all have their own types of sound qualities and changes and things like that. So that was my next thing was, are those photos being compressed in different programs as well?
I mean, I've got Photoshop and a couple other softwares that I use that I could check them against to see if you get the same compression. But the thing is, when you look at, and let's take this one again, for instance, you can look at when it's compressed and see that the main thing being the wooden board isn't warped or changed in any way. There's no turning up at the edges or anything. And that gives you a reference that the compression is literally just from left to right. There is there is nothing else going on. When you have a reference like that, and it's the same with this, you can see that the level hasn't really changed from what it is when it's just the full thing.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what you mean. I'm trying to see if I can explain it a little bit better. My main issue with it is that it's not, you don't have enough for it to be considered a data set. So you showed me two different pictures is where I'm getting at. There's two different locations, two different pictures, two completely different cameras, etc. And it's also still showing the same curve in the same direction, with two different locations and two different pictures. You know what I mean? It's showing two. It's still showing two different things. So that's why I'm wondering if it is possible. And I still did have one more thing with that I wanted to debate with you about the picture. My last point about it. But where I was getting at was, it's two locations. So if you have different types of software, and you actually compress it with the different software and it's showing you the same result with the same software, it also goes by the camera, the lens, and if it shows you the same result there, you understand what I mean? That it's conclusive. Because I could still say that, I still would say that it's either this or it's this, like the rolling shutter, etc. Because everything is captured, in a different manner. It's two different locations, two different cameras, different camera lenses, but it's not conclusive because it's not the same location. So if you're doing an experiment, for instance, and you say you're doing an experiment in one location, and then you pick up all of your equipment and move to a different location, that completely changes the entire experiment. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, obviously. So you're saying that it wouldn't be valid unless you had, say, multiple cameras at this one location doing the same observation at the same time.
Well, but yeah, multiple cameras, multiple lenses. Now, this is something I would do for your particular go do an experiment that you would want me to try out. I would make sure that it's conclusive. I wouldn't do one experiment. Like I seen, mentioned, you mentioned Riley, like in the last video, tests. I think multiple moonlight tests would have to be conducted, not just one or anything like that. It would have to be multiple moonlight tests to erase all doubt. So it's all the same here. It's like I acknowledge I do see curvature in the photograph. I do, but it's three different photographs. So if you really want to bury the point, you can show the same photograph with different camera lenses, different cameras, different compression software, all showing the exact same thing. And you know what I mean? And at that point, that still is what I would consider to be still not a true experiment. The reason I say is because what you would say, the reason why you're seeing curvature in those photographs is what? Would that be the Earth's curvature?
Yes.
Now, that would be your presumed cause, which is your independent variable, which would mean that you would have to manipulate your independent variable, which is Earth's curvature, which you would not technically be able to do, which is the only reason why I say I think a lot of it with flat earthers in general is they're not claiming that there's any curvature, and therefore there's no need to manipulate the Earth's curvature because they're not claiming that there is curvature. And with globers in general, they are saying that there is curvature and they're not able to manipulate it. The same as if I asked you, how does gravity work, or, all things pulling to the center. Can you replicate that? You wouldn't be able to replicate that because you would need another Earth, or you would need this and you would need that. And it's just not doable.
No, we can replicate it, and it has been replicated. The Cavendish experiment is a replication of mass pulling to the center. So is the Chitalian experiment. It's been done many times.
I've seen those. I like I said, that's something completely separate. I don't follow any of those at all. I don't even like the experiments. I don't understand how those experiments even. You know what I mean? I think all of that is just bogus, personally.
Okay,
so
well,
I can't talk about that.
You're saying that that we can't replicate the effects of mass going to pulling towards mass, but we can, and that is an experiment that we use to do that. The whole concept of the Cavendish experiment is that it's on one plane, and then it shows the attraction on another plane, showing that gravity isn't just an up and down thing, it is a mass towards mass thing. It's been done excellently lately independently by someone in the community called B.M. Furble, who built his own Cavendish experiment in his flat in South Korea, and pretty much got exactly the same results as every single Cavendish experiment around the world ever gets, which is that mass attracts mass.
The ones that I've seen have failed, and I've seen that it's very, very difficult to actually get them to even work. And that's kind of why I think a lot of flat earthers are not going to take that as credible. Now, I do want to make sure that I'm actually quoting the, because I don't know a lot about the Cavendish experiment because it just seems outrageous. Now, can you explain to me is that the one that is where he's observing from a distance?
Well, if you're talking about the original Cavendish experiment, where the Lord Henry Cavendish did in his garage or whatever, he observed it from outside of the room with a telescope, looking through the shed, a hole that he put in the side of the building, because he didn't want anything to disturb the apparatus inside, and any air currents or anything. And that's why nowadays there are controls to make sure that doesn't happen. It can be done in the vacuum chamber, which it has been done many times, and that gets rid of any air currents and things like that.
I've heard that that the moon, for instance, and the types of effects, I don't see how you can isolate something.
The moon doesn't affect the Cavendish experiment in any way.
Yeah, but they're also saying the moon affects the tides. So
Well,
that's kind of
yeah, the moon
where
absolutely does affect the tides.
yeah, but like I said, I can't talk about that because I noticed that every time I start talking about the sun, the moon, space, or stars with any globers, it starts going to a pseudoscientific type of approach. And that's not a debate that I can ever hope to ever try and get through to any
Okay.
globers at all when it comes to that. So I understand what you mean. I've looked up a few things regarding that, and a lot of the stuff I've seen, it just, to me, the experiment just, it's kind of the same thing of why I say like the photograph, the kind of like just saying that one photograph is enough.
Okay.
It's just
Well,
not enough, and
well,
there's too many variables
talking about the Cavendish
affecting the
experiment, though,
Cavendish.
and the fact
Yeah.
that it's done literally thousands of times a day around the world. Physics students do it all the time. Pretty much any university you walk into will have an active Cavendish experiment going on, and the fact that whenever the Cavendish experiment is done, gets the same results, doesn't that say something? Be it a university I know the University of Glasgow have one as you go in the main door of the science building. Their Cavendish experiment showed exactly the same as B.M. Furbal's experiment in his flat in South Korea. It showed the same degree of attraction, which that is doing it in multiple different places in different settings and getting the same
Yeah,
result.
yeah, I agree. I agree. If the experiment that you're doing there actually works, and it works, but it's still within the medium of Earth. So we're not talking about doing a small. It would be the same thing as if I asked you, can you test drive a vehicle for me, and then you use a video game platform to test a video game simulation of a vehicle. It's not the same thing as testing the vehicle. So when I was talking about replicating Earth, that's not replicating Earth. That's on that's an experiment done within Earth
Yeah,
to
and
show something, but that's on a small, tiny scale without, and like I said, there's a lot of different variables.
that's the idea of the Cavendish is that it is done under Earth's gravity. It is done under that downward acceleration, 9.8 meters per second squared. The entire apparatus has that downward force on it, which is why you then test in the horizontal plane, because the whole thing has that downward force acting on it. So then you test the attraction in the horizontal plane to see if there is an attraction that is there as well.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
otherwise you're
we
literally
also
asking us to, create another Earth and replicate what, which isn't something that you can do.
right, but that's kind of the whole purpose behind that in general, is that it's not something that really can be done. But like you said, the downforce is something also that a lot of flat earthers and globers are not able to completely agree on, is what is down in general. So whenever
Down is towards your feet. It's actually
yeah,
one of the
yeah,
very
but
few things that Sleeping Warrior has ever got right. When I was debating him, he said that down is towards the direction where time goes slower. And you know what? Technically, that is correct, because gravity has an effect on time
okay,
because
so
because of space time.
Sleeping Warrior said that.
Yeah, and it is the only time he's ever said something that is correct. He did in the same debate tell me that density is a force, but
Okay, okay. Well, yeah, the density is something else. No, as far as the what direction down is, down on a flat Earth perspective is completely different than down on a globe. So the direction toward your feet isn't necessarily, and that was something that Red Pill philosophy actually was trying to get across, was that down more or less changes directions on a globe. So if you are,
No, down doesn't
if you're
change direction. Down is always towards the middle of the globe.
yeah, but depending on where you are on the globe, down is directly, down. Or if you're, at the North Pole, for instance, if you're at the South Pole, down is actually up, depending on your location as to where you are, for say, on the, you
Yeah.
know what I mean, on
Okay,
the globe.
but
So that's his point he was trying to get.
relative to you, down is
Your
always towards your
position,
feet. I mean,
right?
if you were standing on the moon and looking at the Earth, you could say, oh, well, to me, the people at the South Pole are upside down. But that's because, relativity is a thing. Relative down is always relative to the local gravitational vector, is a good way of saying it. And as the gravitational vector on Earth is towards the center of the Earth, that is what down is. Flat earthers have this misconception of north being up and south being down, and that isn't the case.
Well, I don't mean it in that way. I mean it as relative to where you are. But the thing that's changed is more or less on a flat type of environment, not on a bowl. Therefore, down being the same, direction.
Hello? Have we lost him?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, you cut out for a second there.
Oh, okay. No, I think I got like a connection problem or something. No, I was just mentioning that for flat Earth, down is the same thing as what it would be for globe to a certain degree if you were to say that it is below your feet. And that's assuming that you're on a globe. But either way, down changes directions if you're on a globe because it's toward the center and it's relative to where you're at. But like I said, that's not something I buy into. That's just not, that's a whole different topic. I really don't think, as far as my standpoint on that in general, there's a lot of other things that have to play in and have to be 100% accurate for me to actually say Einstein's theory of relativity is accurate. I don't think his relativity is accurate in a lot of ways. Maybe a couple ways, but a lot of ways I've seen a lot of people go into detail for hours, just completely shattering Einstein's theory of relativity.
I can tell you that they're all wrong. Relativity works really well. It breaks down near the center of black holes and stuff, but even Einstein said my math doesn't work there.
That's outside of our realm, pretty much. And this is just something quick that I just want to add before we go back. Is what got me into this was me being able to check things for myself, because I looked up. You're from overseas, right?
Yeah, I live in Scotland.
Okay, all right. I'm over here on the East Coast of the States, and there's a lot of things that happen here, and a lot of different things that goes on that goes either under the radar or goes above people's. The culture here is completely different. So me being an artist, I work with artists from France. I work with artists from China, from Korea. I work with artists all over the globe. I literally do a lot of work with. Currently, I produce for over 1,000 artists, just to give you an example. Okay. So I talk with these people individually, and the thing is that depending on where you are in your location, what got me into this was me discovering a lot of the lies that took place here, and having family members. I actually have a family member that I have a cousin that actually works for NASA that I'm actually close with. So none of the stuff that I'm just telling you right here is stuff that I've come up with on my own. This is stuff that I've talked with people about. I've interviewed people and studied for years. And there's a lot of things that happen over here. I can't really talk about them. There's a lot of things that happen over here that most people in different countries don't know about. So that's what got me studying a lot of this stuff. And I've come to the conclusion that we can't really listen to just what NASA says or just what the space agency says.
You said about lies. I mean, what lies do you mean? Because honestly, there isn't any. At least with regards to space and everything. Like you keep saying, it's about these lies. What lies do you mean?
That's the thing about it. It goes back to even when I, before I actually discovered flat Earth, before I discovered anything like that, I've seen a lot of different documentaries, a lot of just in general, which is the same as everyone. But when you look into them, and you start to see certain patterns, and you start to see certain types of censorship happen, you start to understand a pattern, and you're able to recognize, I think all the truth is complete discernment, your ability to discern what's true and what isn't. So for instance, when you say NASA and space being real or fake, the whole thing was created by German scientists and things like that. A lot of them Nazis and things like that.
Well, that's not really true. I mean, the Americans hired some ex-Nazis and stuff, but I mean, we had pictures of space and space agencies and research in space before NASA. NASA aren't the first people to do that. The first images of Curve is from 1936. There's one, and then there's one from 1942, and these are nothing to do with NASA. NASA kind of came together with the Antarctica Treaty and stuff like that. I'm not really questioning who is who started NASA or why NASA's here or what they do. What I'm trying to say is that there's conclusive evidence. There's literally evidence. I have personally, I have evidence showing that what you perceive to be history is not accurate. What kind of evidence?
So if just certain, okay, for instance, I literally have maps and some of the research that I've actually gone over showing like real maps and things like that from the 1400s, from the 1500s, 1600s, etc. And when you start to look at when these places were established, whether it's over here or over where you are in the UK, etc., wherever, it'll give you a date, and it'll give you where, when certain things were established, what happened here, what happened there. But if you actually look at some of these older maps, you start to see that some of these places already were established and already existed 50, 60, 70, sometimes over 100 years before the official records that we have. And that's where I'm getting at, is that most people, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but your strong suit is probably science. I'm sure you know a lot about space, you understand a lot about NASA, and there's nothing wrong with that. But all the people I work with, I go to certain people for certain things. So for instance, I have people that work solely in religion, and literally all they do is go and find ancient maps, ancient scrolls, everything like that, and actually connect every single dot and show all, they expose.
Oh, okay, all right. Here's a question about all that though. Who gives a fuck what ancient scrolls and stuff say when we can literally, image the world so perfectly now? Cartography has been a thing for a long time and has advanced over time. And honestly, I wouldn't put any scope in a map from the 1400s, 1500s, 1600s, because that's 500, 600, 700 years ago. We're nearly in 2020. I would go with the maps that are made now, that are taken.
I wouldn't. There was an event that happened here in my country, where 3 buildings went down back in 2001. And the thing is that is in the history books for students today. Okay, and the thing is that whatever is written in those history books they're going to be the official narrative, even though if you do enough research in that, and which I've done thousands of hours of research into it, and it's really difficult and it's really big, and a lot of people are not going to put that much time into finding out who gets paid here, who gets paid there, who foreclosed on buildings, who did this, and who, it's a lot. When I say a lot, it's a lot. And the thing is that the official word on that is going to be the official word written in history. Okay. So if we were to disregard all of history, then we have no foundation. There's absolutely no foundation. If we only believe in what we see today, as in all of the places overseas, in the Middle East, etc. If we start looking at the maps are going to tell you that Israel is right where Israel is today. And the maps are going to tell you Egypt is right where Egypt is today. The thing is that when you look at ancient maps, all of them say the same thing, and they all say that it's not exactly, certain places are not exactly where they say they are. So by disregarding that knowledge, that's the same as book burning. You can't just disregard ancient knowledge.
I'm not saying disregard, but the thing is, we build on the knowledge that has come before, and we correct knowledge that has come before when we find better things. And a map from the 1500s would probably say that there's a bunch of krakens in the water. That's not going to be the case,
Well, No, I don't mean it in that sense. I know where you're getting at with that. I don't mean it in that sense. I don't mean taking one from the 1500s or any of that. I mean, I'm talking about seeing a consistency. And when you have hundreds of maps from that time period to this time period, and you can see a consistency, and then all of a sudden everything has changed, everything is different.
Well,
As every map past a certain time.
The consistency is there now because we have the technology to actually map the planet more accurately than we ever could before. I would much rather trust a map. Maps are updated all the time. The FAA have to use the most accurate maps possible so that they can fly their planes where they have to go. I don't mean that. None of it is evidence that the Earth isn't as we've been told. There isn't. Are you saying like there's extra lands or anything?
No, I'm not talking about those maps. See, apparently there are some maps that show certain things, but I'm not really talking about those. You're missing the whole. I'm trying to see if I can explain it a little better. It's not to travel the world, and it's not to get an accurate depiction. It's more or less to show what was, because if you don't know what was before you, for instance, you have to listen to everything that everyone tells you. So if someone were to tell you now they have no idea how the pyramids of Giza were built, well, like you said, it's 2019, so we should be able to replicate that really easily. But if that's not the case, and they're seeing things which they're seeing things that they can't replicate and do today, but yet they are saying at the same time, you see what I'm saying? It's all about discernment. It's like I can clearly say I have a moderately thinking mind, and nothing from that time period should be new to us. We should be able to replicate the pyramids of Giza. We should be able to replicate anything that happened 1,000, 2,000 years ago. Everything, all of that should be easily. You understand what I mean? I'm following you with what you're saying. I do agree. If you are going to use GPS to travel around your location, you're not going to use a map from the 1500s. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about facts of history, because if you don't know your history,
the thing is, maps from a long time ago may show slightly different things because they didn't.
Well, they're massive. They're massively different.
They didn't have a full picture of the world, and they didn't have the best way of measuring, of doing cartography and stuff. But what you can clearly see, they're not though. That's the thing. That maps from back then aren't highly accurate because they didn't have the technology to make them accurate. If you look at maps like going from 1000 BC AD up to now, more and more accuracy is added as you go throughout history, and yes, they will change. It might say that this particular area land was a little bit further over, but that's because they developed better technology and had more and more people doing their cartography and measuring as they went along.
That's not what's changed, though. None of that's changed. That's why I say I think you're missing.
So what has changed?
The whole thing. The locations of entire places, towns, and cities, and things like that. Locations, and they are not anywhere near where they say that they were past a certain point in time. So what you would have to say, if what you're saying is 100% the truth, is that everyone who wrote those maps were completely wrong, and they all were wrong in the exact same way. But you understand what I mean?
But who's to say that? Right. So let's say there was a map that was being made in the 1500s, right? Who's to say that the person making that map didn't have a political motivation or something to show their lands being bigger than it was? I mean, my point is that you can't put stock in maps from 500, 600, 700 years ago because they aren't going to give you the full picture. They are going to show things different. They might show entire cities hundreds of miles away from where we know that they were now. But that's just because that's what they made at the time. Why would I bother looking at that?
They're completely gone. The names are completely gone, is where I'm getting at. They changed the entire names. They covered up, they whitewashed a lot of the names. What I'm trying to explain is the stuff that we're seeing now. I think you have way more accuracy with ancient knowledge than you do with current knowledge. And the reason I say that goes back to that point of, what happened here in the States in 2001. What is written down is going to be the official narrative, regardless of what anyone else says, whether anyone else has proof, which people do. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of people that I would have to physically get in a fight with if I were to tell them that this didn't happen the way they said it did, on this day, and this didn't happen here, and I could show them proof. Whether or not they accept it is up to them, even if it's hours and hours and hours of evidence and proof and testimony, et cetera, showing that, this was already, going to happen. It's just one of those things where if you don't learn from it, you repeat it. So I don't really mean that every map from that particular time period is trustworthy. There are trustworthy maps that the maps show a land larger. And I'm not talking about world maps. I'm actually talking about continents and things.
Okay,
check out some maps of Africa.
These are maps from hundreds of years ago.
Well,
and they're wrong.
And
so what if they're wrong? It really doesn't bear any relevance to what we're being told, because now
it goes toward religion. Is
right.
Where
Well,
I'm getting
well,
at.
well let me say it like this, okay? Now, no matter who you speak to or where you get the map from, be it you get a map from a store seller in Iraq, or if you go and buy the map from the FAA website in America, they're going to show the same thing. Every single map that you buy now that is an accurate map will show the same thing. But if you went to the 1500s and you bought a map from two different places that were a few hundred miles apart, those two maps would probably show completely different things, because they didn't have the ability to map like we do now. My whole point is that why should we care what a map from 500-600 years ago showed? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but that's the point of where I'm trying to get you to understand. I'm not huge when it comes to a lot of the religious sections, because that was also one of the things that I've studied for years. And it's when you see a cover up happening on this massive of scale, it's a huge scale. When you see certain things happen like that, where you see certain towns and you see certain things mentioned in, religions across the world and things like that, and then you look at a map from today and you don't see those places on that map, that's one thing that makes people say or think that this particular religious scripture is wrong, that Bible is wrong, this Bible is wrong, etc.
Thank you.
But the reality behind most of it is a little bit different. It's more or less.
Sorry, my wife just come in and brought me a McFlurry.
Okay. No, I was just saying. I was just saying more or less. It goes back to the religion type of area where things mentioned in religious scripts and excerpts, whether it's from the Dead Sea Scrolls or from the Bible, different books in the Bible, etc. And you start to see certain things. When you look at a map from today, those maps are not going to show you any of that. And that's the reason people are having such a hard time with verifying whether they believe in the Bible or whether they believe in this, or why religion has such a huge
and I agree.
impact.
Maps from back then showed things that aren't there now. But again, that doesn't really show anything, because maps now show everything that there is.
Well, I mean it as a cover-up. I only mean it as a cover-up. So, for instance, if I come to your store, and every time I come into your store, I steal something, and, or I rip you off in some kind of way, you're going to automatically start to realize that I am either going to try and rip you off in some kind of way. Same as anything. You start to build a pattern, and you start to build a reputation, and that's kind of where I'm getting at. Is that's just one aspect. So when you say the maps are accurate now, I completely agree. They are accurate, but that has nothing to do with with any of them not covering stuff up or any of that, because it's completely been covered up. It's completely been erased. It's completely been changed. So when you're
Can you give me any specific examples of something that's been completely erased from the maps?
Yeah, but I don't think because it's such a huge topic. I don't know if you're going to be able to completely understand where
just one specific city or something that has been erased from maps.
For instance, if you actually look at maps from for Africa, you know what I mean, and you were to compare them to certain types of scripture and stuff, you're going to notice rivers like the Jordan River being in a certain location versus another location. You're going to notice that rivers are cut off at a certain point. So you're going to see where rivers dried up over the course of history. You're going to see, you know, and I'm sure you would agree with me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, rivers can change their
right,
dynamic
right,
thing, but you're saying that there's like entire cities or something that has been wiped from history, and I don't understand.
Yeah,
you know, I've never seen any evidence of that.
Some of it I can't talk about here because I don't want to mention what I'm not allowed to talk about, because it can actually get your channel, you know, completely targeted and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to say what I really want to say, but I just can't, you know. But basically, when you look at when Israel was founded, you can. It's not the exact same Israel that's mentioned in biblical texts of Israelites and stuff like that. And if you don't, you know, that's just one of thousands. But that's just to say and just to show, like for instance, the Gulf War. It's completely already come out that the Gulf War was completely a hoax. That is publicly admitted. That's already. I mean, they're probably not even blocking that on YouTube. That's all of that. No.
Oh, let me clarify.
The reason behind it. I'm not saying that the Gulf War didn't happen, because I see that you're ready to.
Let me give a caveat here. Now, I'm not saying that governments tell the truth about everything. Right? Governments have their own reasons for doing things and keeping things away, and monetary incentives to do certain things. And you know, I'm not going to say that the official reasons behind going to Afghanistan and Iraq are what we've been told, because we don't know exactly what the motivations behind it were. But none of that is really relative or to the shape of the earth, and that's the thing, that all these lies that we're apparently being told, it doesn't really make any difference to the world that we're in. You know, the world is the shape that we're in, and there is no evidence to suggest that it's anything other than, as you guys put it, a spinning ball in space, because that's what it is. Here,
let me give you a quick example. If you have a basketball that you're holding in front of you, you hold it out right in front of you. You have a basketball in front of you, and you see the name, the brand name of the basketball, for instance, 90 degrees away from you. Say you stretch the basketball out in front of you. You're basically going and getting further away from the basketball. Now, if you were to twist that brand name around the backside of that basketball, no matter how far away you pull that basketball away from you, you're not going to be able to see that brand name, because it's on the other side of the bowl.
Okay.
So, for instance, if someone of our time period, whenever, if they were to take a P900 and zoom in and show you the other side of that bowl, you know what I mean? And that's basically some of the tests that have been done. Basically, what I've discovered just as one proof of Earth not being the correct dimensions. I'm going to say that. That way you're not thinking I'm saying it's completely flat. I'm saying of it not being the correct dimensions is that you're seeing way too far. And a lot of people say that when you go up higher, you can see way further, but it's still not adding up in the way that it actually should.
It does all add up. That's the thing. It all adds up. 100%.
I've seen Jay Tolan Media One. I don't
debunked.
know.
Literally on my channel recently with GeoStriber versus JM Truth. They went through Jay Tolan Media's photos, and we actually did the maths and showed that it actually matches the globe perfectly. We did the math live on stream.
So I have a question for you. So if we're at 5 miles and there's 16 feet of curvature, and you're at 5 miles and you're 6 inches above the ocean, okay, and you're going, to nearby land or whatever, 5 miles away, and there's no drop, that's already completely off. That's completely off. That's not right all in by itself.
But there is drop, and you do have to take into consideration refraction.
Yeah,
when you take into account refraction, and we know that refraction is a thing, we know that humidity of the air can cause different gradients and stuff. So we take that all into account. And if you look at the J. Tolan Media world record photo that he keeps talking about, that actually matches the globe math perfectly. And you only have to take into account about a degree of refraction to be able to see the whole thing. That there's never been a photo that, doesn't match the math of the globe model. That's the thing.
See, you say that in general, but like I said, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't have already seen all of these tests. I've literally seen.
Can you give me a specific
hundreds?
Can you give me a specific photo that shouldn't?
Well,
because I can go through the maths with you now to show that there isn't ever any photos that don't match the maths of the globe.
No. I don't mean it in that sense. I mean it in the sense of just to give you a quick example, because I've already had these debates with a lot of people, and I understand that people are going to claim mirages, inferior mirages, etc., and atmospheric compression, atmospheric distortion, weather, as far as temperature and stuff like that, and a lot of other things that people claim. Is in the middle of seeing past certain distances, why boats disappear bottom up, and all this other stuff. It's like, so I'm not going to try and debate you with that, because I don't think that we're really going to get anywhere with it. But where I'm getting at is literally there's hundreds and hundreds of tests out here already, just even on YouTube, that you can actually find where people like I'm not a fan of Jeranism. He's not bad.
Jeranism.
I'm not 100%. Yeah, I'm not really.
Do you want to watch a quick Jeranism video? Just 40 seconds.
No. I've seen Jeranism. I'm not trying to debunk him. I'm just saying Jeranism has shown.
You don't need to debunk Jeranism. In fact, all right, here's a quick video from Jeranism. It's one of my favorites.
You're seeing through this hole, through the next hole, and seeing the light at the backboard, or at 17 feet off the water. The Earth is flat. If he's holding it up at 23 feet high and we're seeing the light, well, that's because the Earth's curved. So I should only be able to see it when it's at 17 feet. Okay, go ahead and drive down there, Enrique. You're going to hold the light there. Enrique, how high is your light?
17 feet.
I mean, it's as... we don't see you, Enrique. Lift up your light way above your head. Interesting.
Yeah, so Jeranism even showed that there's curvature.
Look. I want to make sure that the record is 100% straight. I don't like globebusters. I'm not with globebusters, and as far as Jeranism, I don't even think they should actually be in the flat Earth community. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not even a flat earther. I'm just saying that they're not. That's a Netflix documentary, and me being a person who's in entertainment, I've actually done my own films and things like that in my area and stuff, for Washington, D.C. to New York City. To get on Netflix is not an easy task, and it's not something that, and also, you also have to realize who actually owns Netflix and what they allow on Netflix and what they don't, and what they pull off of Netflix for certain reasons. So like I said, I don't follow Jeranism. I don't really necessarily agree with what he says a lot of times. And that whole documentary, I understand it, that whatever test that they did there, that's fine. I don't know what kind of test they did. He's done other tests from further distances with laser tests, and they show that there's no curvature. So it's the same thing. You're showing me one test.
What they show is that the laser is level, and light, which laser is, can bend. Mick West has shown that pretty well. I honestly, I don't put any stock in laser tests, be it from my side or from the flat earther side, because they're completely unreliable. Now, there's so many other things that we can talk about. So do you believe that space is real at all?
Like I said, I'm to the point now, after researching all of the stuff from history, from NASA, from all the stuff they put out now, that NASA is 100%. I want to go on record saying this. They're 100% fake. I mean, they are literally fake. Everything that they say is 100% fake. Honestly,
So,
like I said, they lost a lot of the telemetry data from the moon mission. If you want to convince somebody that you did something, you don't get rid of the only evidence that you have to support.
except as
that.
I've explained,
get rid of
all that data is actually available,
I
be it
haven't
from
seen
third
it.
parties.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it. I don't understand why that's still going on. If it's been debunked, it would already have been debunked. But
thing is, it has been debunked, and so have many other things. But flat earthers
haven't
keep
seen
coming
that.
back to it. Now, you say NASA are fake, right? Now, have a look at this photo, right? This isn't from NASA. This is from a friend of mine who's personally taken this with equipment that he has, and is actually the same as a NASA image of the pillars of creation. In the middle on the right, you can actually see what looks like a dog's head. And if you look at the NASA image of the pillars of creation, it's exactly the same one.
No. I don't mean it as NASA. It's like I said in the beginning of the podcast. It's discernment.
What do you mean by that?
For instance, do you know the percentage of like being able to tell what's real and what isn't? And that's
Okay.
why I say I don't know if your network is. I don't know. I do think that what you guys do in general at Fight to Flat Earth, I think that you're trying to be 100% truthful to what you know. I don't think you guys are just out there just trying to, bully and troll people. You might be. I don't know. Like I said, I only do truther stuff. So it's about discernment. It's about knowing when someone is lying and when someone isn't. So when I say NASA is a complete fraud, I'm not saying that every single thing that NASA does. Like I actually used to work with a guy who did that years ago. Every time that I would say something, he would actually just say, "So you don't think anybody does this?" And I'm like, No. I'm not speaking for everybody. We don't have the results for everybody. We only have discernment. I'm saying that there's a potential. So, for instance, if you ask me to do something for you, there's a potential that I could lie about it. There's the potential that I could be truthful about it. There's potential that I could do it and that I couldn't. So it's knowing what the potential is and understanding what's real and what isn't. So I'm not saying that NASA is going to create a fake image of the moon and then put out a fake image of the moon and say, "Hey, this is this." I'm not saying that. I'm saying discernment.
So would you say that you are able to spot what is fake and what isn't? That you've got good discernment?
Pretty much.
Okay.
After you study this,
if you don't mind, we're going to test that. Okay. So.
Well, like I said, I can't really do that. I can't do that from your particular point of view.
No. I've got this is easy. You say you've got good discernment and you can decide what is you can see what's real or fake.
Hold on. Here's what I'm saying. Because I think you're still missing. You're missing the point. It's not about seeing what's fake and what's real. It's discernment between what information they say. Like what's the for instance, if NASA were to tell you tomorrow that they landed 20 people on Mars, would you believe them right away? Or would you want to see pictures, or would you want to see the video footage of the landing? What would you say to that?
Well, they wouldn't just say, "Oh, we've all of a sudden landed people on Mars."
Well, no, just hypothetically. Just hypothetically.
I would look into it, obviously, because I don't take anything at face value. But in regards to, like, if you're talking about NASA, for instance, everything they do is a matter of public record. Every cent of their budget, every single cent of their budget.
I can't say that.
No, it absolutely is. You can literally go to their website and see every single cent that they get paid and what it is made and what it's used for. There is no secrets. There is no hiding.
No. Those are all records. Now let me say this, because I think that is a good point that you actually just brought up. That's an extremely good point, and that's why I really want to say it. It's like Secure Team 10, Tyler from Secure Team 10. It's known among almost globers to anybody who's not flat earthers, but anybody. It's already a known fact that NASA lies and covers stuff up.
But it's not.
So if you honestly,
you're saying it's known fact. Can you give me any evidence of that?
That's just in general. Just in general.
Just in general isn't evidence. I would love give me one
it's not about
specific
evidence.
piece of evidence. Of course, it's about
the
evidence.
Moon missions, just the moon missions alone. That's what I'm saying.
What evidence
Just
do you have that the moon missions were fake? Because I've debunked like most moon landing hoax claims myself.
But that's another thing about it. Just because someone says so, here, let me ask you this question about the debunking. Then, would you say that I debunked the picture so far that I mentioned earlier?
Not at all. I mean, you were completely wrong about rolling shutter, for instance.
No. I said rolling shutter could be a reason behind why something is doing something. Do you
on a
video,
on a video, yeah, not on a still image.
A still image works the same way as a video.
Only if the thing that it's recording is moving.
And the water, technically, the waves and the movement of the water. But regardless, it's not an experiment because you didn't manipulate the independent variable. Is where I'm getting at. So technically, by the rules of science, and if you're following a scientific method, taking one picture is technically, on my standpoint. That's why I say I really feel I completely debunked it, because if you don't have a data set,
but I told you that particular picture has a data set of over 150 pictures.
But you can't tell me if it's the same camera. It's
all the same camera. It's all done with the same camera.
It has to be different cameras. Is the point? A video.
So why hasn't the Flat Earther done this?
Done what? Oh, I don't know the location. Like I said, I don't really speak for flat earthers, and I'm also not over in the UK, if that's where you said that was. I'm actually in the States. I do occasionally go to the UK, but not to take pictures like that or set up anything like that. So the thing is that whoever is doing the experiment and coming up with the claim is the one where they have the burden of evidence at that point. If they're making that particular type of claim. It's the same as NASA. It's like, people want to know. People want to see. And I'm one of those people. I want to know. I want to see. I want to know where all my money is going to in taxes. I want to know.
But that's why you can see where your money goes.
People are doing.
You can literally go and see every single cent of the NASA budget all of the time.
But
it's not hidden. It's not secret.
See, but that's where I'm getting at, is that the military. For instance, the military, NASA is a branch of the military, technically.
No,
and the thing is that the military, well, you say that. Like I said, I work. I have
just
people,
a government agency.
That's literally the same exact thing that a guy I was talking to said. He works actually for Northrop Grumman, and it's the same thing. It doesn't matter whether they're an agency or whether they're part of whatever. It's still a branch of the military. They still have top secret clearances, and they have things that are secret. So to say that NASA does not have any unacknowledged special access program budgets, etc., is a complete lie. It's already been exposed thousands of times by a lot of other people. But the thing is
but it hasn't. You keep saying that there's all these lies and stuff of NASA, but you can't give me a specific instance where NASA has lied.
Well, just like I said, the moon missions themselves. You're going to say that the moon landings were legit. I'm telling you they were not legit.
What evidence do you have of that?
See what I'm saying?
I mean, because
there's a lot of, I can't go through that because we don't have enough time on the
could give you.
It's just not.
The easy way to say that the moon missions are true is because there is hundreds of thousands of third-party verification of what they did. They left retroreflectors on the moon that students all over the world bounce lasers off all of the time. We have orbiters we have orbiters from multiple different countries going around the moon that can see the landing sites from the Apollo missions. These things have all been verified. That there is no evidence that it isn't real.
But none of us can verify that for ourselves. That's what I'm trying to get through to you. As far as them bouncing lasers, I don't care if they're bouncing lasers off of whatever. The thing is that it's already like that's kind of where I was getting at when you guys had the debate with Russian vids. You have to understand that, and I don't think Russian vids really could come on this network and actually talk with you guys. And the reason is because he comes from an entirely different world. So I know when I'm sitting down and I'm talking. Well, like at to each their own. But whenever I'm sitting down, I'm having a conversation with somebody who believes NASA. I can pretty much guess about all the things that they believe in pretty accurately in general, whether it's evolution, whether it's this, whether it's that, whether we went to the moon, whether the rover's on Mars, etc. They have their own set of beliefs. And when it comes into flat earthers, you got to understand that everything that you think right now, just imagine everything that you think that you know. When it comes down to flat earthers, they're not thinking that exact same thing. They basically, and I'm not saying this for all flat earthers, I'm saying it for some of the hardcore flat earthers and people who research it and study it on a daily basis, all the time. They're not studying the same stuff as you. So what I would say is, just as my advice for you in general, would be to look into all of the flat earth claims as far as learn exactly what they're doing and weigh between what is being presented. Because I've been doing
this every day for the past year. I've looked into every wait. No, I don't have beliefs. I have verified facts. Everything that I can talk about, everything I talk about can be backed up with facts and evidence. But not once ever has a flat earther given me evidence that the earth is flat. Not once has a flat earther given me evidence that satellites are fake or that NASA faked the moon landings. Never. I've never had any evidence of that. And that's the problem. When there is a lack of evidence, Hitchens' razor says anything presented without evidence can be dismissed without evidence, because there isn't any evidence that says the opposite of these things.
I don't know where you get that type of information from. That's my biggest issue, I think, with Fight the Flat Earth in general.
What particular information do you mean?
I don't know.
I can tell you my sources for everything.
So I have a question. Are you telling me that you don't believe that there's any flat earther that could ever tell you something that you don't know?
No. I've heard every single... That's the thing, right? This is why, in general, we are saying flat earth is dead. Because even in the 11 months that I've had my YouTube channel, right, I have had to rebut the same claims over and over and over again. And what you see is there will be 3 months of people saying a particular thing, and then it'll switch to something else. And then 3 months later, it'll go back to that thing that they were saying before, because they're just picking up on the old claims. There is no new claims that the flat earth make. There is no new evidence. And you know what? When flat earthers go to try and test things, like FE Core, for instance, they recently attempted to disprove the curve with microwave transmission. Microwaves aren't affected by refraction in the same way. So they set up two microwave transmission tower and something to receive it. And if they could connect, it would have proven that the Earth was flat. You know what happened? They didn't get a signal. Not even a tiny trace of a signal.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The only reason I say I can't verify that type of stuff is because I think the sources that you look toward and the sources I look toward are two different sources. You understand what I mean by that?
What sources? What source? That's the thing. I'm asking you for a source.
Oh, no. I'm not saying the source as the source itself. I mean the content. I'm saying that you used Jeranism on Netflix.
Yeah,
it's just Netflix.
It's just a good example.
As a reference.
It's just a really good example.
That's like me saying that CNN reported or some major news company that is fake and proven fake. That's like me saying, hey, they just did this and that means it's real. Even though you were there on the scene and you realized that it wasn't and you got footage to prove that it wasn't, someone else comes up and says, hey, I'm showing you this footage. This network is this, that. It's a never-ending cycle. Now, I've done debates about the sun. I've done debates about all that stuff. That's not stuff that's tangible is where I'm getting at. And I don't accept the refraction thing. There was also like a 40 or 50 mile mirror test that people did. A lot of different people. I think Jeranism actually did that too in general. And it's just like, he gets on Netflix and he completely makes a fool out of himself. And then if you look at his content on his page, he's actually taking it very, very serious and he's showing better content. But the content that millions of other people seen is behind the curve. And it's just, it makes no sense. And it's the same thing with that documentary that Logan Paul was part of. That's another hit piece. I'm sure you know about what I'm talking about.
No,
right?
that was a mockumentary. He was trolling the flat earth and he did it fantastically.
Yeah, but see,
it was never meant to be serious or anything.
I understand that, but here's my question for you: is your network a truth network, or are you a troll or a mockumentary network? What would you consider your network to be?
I don't have a network. I have some people
No, just
that
Fight
I
the
work
Flat
with.
Earth. What is Fight
My
the Flat
my
Earth?
my channel is there to counter misinformation and entertain
Okay.
people while I do it, and that's what I
Okay,
do.
okay.
And I base everything I say on verifiable science, things that can be backed up 100% with evidence, with sources, with citations. Flat earthers
But
don't have this.
Here's well, I'd say I can't say that. I've seen a lot, and I mean there's from Veracity to Eric Dubay, even Nathan Thompson, and I'm not a fan of Nathan
Oh
Thompson,
God!
but
Yeah.
even him in general.
Please
But
don't tell me you believe anything that Eric Dubay says, because I've literally debunked all 200 of his proofs.
See, and that's another thing. I can't. If one of your debunking measures on when I say a laser test and you say refraction, that's not acceptable in the eyes of where I'm coming from, what I'm
But it's
looking
acceptable
at.
when
If
flat
I
earthers
say,
use it.
No. I don't think so at all. I'm saying that if visually is some kind of atmospheric compression happening, such as red pill philosophy. He actually showed something. He actually showed a building where the floors of the hotel that he zoomed in on across the way were compressed. And you can actually see the atmospheric compression. So you can see that it's a convergence. You can see what's happening. And just by using that as, or you're seeing a mirage and all of this stuff, that stuff isn't really, I wouldn't say that that's evidence. That's just, you know what I mean? That's just statements. So it's like if you were to tell me, like, because some of the stuff that you're talking about satellites and you're talking about how they're orbiting. First off, remember, I don't subscribe to satellites. I don't subscribe to NASA. So if you're using NASA,
let's stick with one thing for a sec. Satellites. You say satellites aren't real. Please explain GPS to me.
See, that's another thing. I can't really. It's hard to explain these type of things in a really quick manner. So I don't. Because
just tell me what GPS is.
All of the claims.
No, okay. Let me ask you a specific question. All right, I'm ex-Navy, ex-military, and I've been in the middle of the ocean, and I could get GPS. How was that possible?
It's not necessarily that. There's places that people have already documented that they can't pick up any kind of reception on. You understand what I mean by that?
When you're in mountains and stuff. But no, what I'm talking about is you are in the middle of the ocean, open area around. There is no cell towers or anything because you're in the middle of the fucking ocean. How can I still get GPS?
But like I said, dude, I'm not 100% on satellites. I didn't really come here to talk about satellites.
You just made the claim that you don't subscribe to satellites, so you think they're not real.
I don't, because I don't.
But then you need to explain something like GPS. GPS proves that satellites are real.
Not necessarily. I've seen
100%.
I've literally seen Eric Dubay go through and explain the lines over. There's even technology that they had back in the 1940s.
No, you're talking about Lauren and stuff, and it's completely different and was only accurate within like 100 miles.
You're saying that. But you got to remember where I'm coming from. You're saying that, but that doesn't make it 100% true. It's the same as if you tell me that
it's a fact. I could show you the statistics with all the Lauren stuff and show you what it was.
It's not about statistics.
Of course it is. The point is, I can give you evidence. So far, you haven't actually provided evidence of anything you're saying, apart from I don't believe it.
Here, let me reiterate on where I was getting at. The whole purpose that I'm actually on here was just to clarify a couple of the statements that were brought up. I'm not really here to go into satellites because it'll literally take hours, and I would have to get all my notes. And I would have to show you all my links, and I'd have to show you all this stuff, in which it's not enough time.
I mean, you had time to
come back. No, I would have to get all of it together, and it's not going to. I just came just prepared for just what I'm talking about. So that's why I say I can't talk about satellites because I'm not here to explain the technology used by that particular stuff, because it's all in itself. It's a whole nother atmosphere. It's the same thing as if I ask you, can you explain to me all of the mechanics behind a rail gun? You know what I
Yes.
mean? Used by our specific military. And
Yes,
stuff.
I could.
No, I mean all of it. I don't mean just what you think or just the same stuff you can Google. I'm talking about the entire mechanics.
No,
But basically what you're claiming-
I can tell you
what-
how they're put together, what the firing mechanism is. I can tell you the kinetic force behind it. I can tell you
And
the
I-
target,
I-
how the targeting system works. I can tell you what operation license you need to be able to use it. I can tell you everything about a railgun because I actually look up
like I
actual
said-
evidence and stuff.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Most people do whenever they're actually looking into stuff. It's just whatever you consider to be evidence is not necessarily the same thing. It's like right now.
Oh, you
if
mean
you're not from,
actual?
Like, you're
you
not,
mean not? If I went to the actual manuals made by the people that make the railguns, that wouldn't be considered evidence.
No. I'm not talking about what technology is openly available. I'm talking about the hidden stuff behind all of it. Like
What
for
hidden
instance,
stuff?
like you're like just this is an example. You're not necessarily from my country. So would you be able to tell me exactly, what happened, all those years ago, 2001, on that, what happened then, even though I actually have a friend who was actually involved in that? Like, would you be able to tell me better? You probably wouldn't. Now, can you research the same stuff that I'm researching? Yeah, you could.
I mean, if
And
you're referring
you know,
to 9/11, I can actually talk through the physics of how the building collapsed and everything, and it's something that I'm prepared to do in a different stream. But that's other things. But
well,
right,
that's
right,
not a topic I would talk
what
about.
this
because
seems like is
that's
a lot
been-
of I don't believe it and claims and stuff. So, I'll tell you what. Let's you left a couple of comments on my channel, and maybe you could just explain those to me. Like this one, for instance.
Yeah, what about it?
Do you want to tell me why you said that? When I'm the one with all the evidence?
All right. Well, it's like I said, the only thing that you actually said is you're just saying things. You're not really showing evidence. Like for instance, you showed Jeranism on Netflix, and you're saying,
Oh yeah, that's just
evidence.
one thing.
Now but also I got a question. Are you still saying that you manipulated your independent variable? Is that what you did? Did you manipulate your independent variable for that particular picture that I came on here to debunk? Like I'm not here for, trolling comments that I write or anything, because like I said, I don't think your network is honest.
Well,
That's why I
yeah,
left
it
the
is.
comment,
The
'cause I don't-
network
I don't-
is.
no,
We
no,
only
no.
go on
It's like-
actual
it's like-
evidence.
It's like I said. Flat Earthers are doing experiments with technology that they have that they did not have in 1972. Therefore, they could not do the same things. A P100, P1000 was not around in those time periods. We didn't have all the access to records that we do today. So, like I said,
Do you want to see something taken
so,
with a P1000?
No. Like I said, dude, I've done thousands of hours of research into P1000s and stuff like that. I actually have one, but that's besides the fact. What I really came on here to debate was the two statements that you made to Russian vids, and the first one was the picture, and the other one was the stars. So I just want to know, is the picture debunked, as in it's not conclusive, or what's your standpoint on that? Because that's really the main reason why I'm here.
Well,
I don't think your network is honest. So I just want to
It's
know.
not been debunked at all in any way. Well,
So
you
you're saying
you also left this comment. If you do not know how high the sun is, then it cannot be calculated. Can you explain that?
Yeah, because you have to take into account what NASA and what other people who associated themselves with NASA and all the people like Cavendish, for instance, the experiments and stuff that they did. And it's not something that's done by regular flat earthers or independent researchers.
See
You know
this
what I
photo?
mean?
That photo of the sun was taken by an independent person, not anything to do with NASA or anything.
Okay, that has
we
nothing
can
to
completely
do with anything. I understand. I understand.
You're
the photo.
saying
I
that
understand the photo.
we say we
That has
can't. We don't know how high
that
the
has
sun is, then
nothing
it
to
cannot
do-
be calculated.
but-
We know exactly how high the sun is and how far away it is because spectroscopy
Judging by
is a
NASA.
thing.
No,
No, nothing to do with NASA. Absolutely
actually it
nothing
is.
to do with
Everything,
NASA.
Everything that has to do with space, everything that has to do with any of that, NASA and things like that, those type of companies have, those agencies have all access to that type of stuff.
All right, what about this? Where do you think this?
Debate Globers.
Where do you think this? Where do you think this image came from?
like I said, dude, I don't care where it came from. I mean, I could take the same picture, with a camera if I look up at the sky. That's not really where I'm getting at. I don't care where it came from, like, because none of that has anything to do with whether or not it's a legitimate picture or CGI. Do you understand what I mean?
Is that CGI or is that a legitimate picture?
Oh, I have no idea. It looks like a picture of the sky. It's not. It's if it doesn't say, by the source what it is, you can't tell what it is. You can't just say what it is if it doesn't say right on the source.
If that's a real picture, then it disproves the flat Earth, right?
No, I don't know how one picture can just. But that's back to what I'm saying. That's why I say I don't see how you have one
this
picture.
Or this one, or this.
So
this one.
So what is that? What is that? Can you explain what that is?
Yeah,
I don't know.
These are all pictures taken with this set up by someone I know personally. No manipulation. Because you're saying about we have to go to NASA and about the stars and stuff, but I don't have to talk about NASA. NASA are nothing to do with what I can put out.
You're showing me pictures of the sky
that can be taken by anybody.
Pictures of the sky. What does that have to do with Earth?
Because it shows that it
model shows pictures of the sky.
Yes,
it shows pictures of the sky.
Do you know how these are taken? Do you know what they have to the tracking software they have to use to get these? If the Earth is a globe, then the tracking software works. If the Earth is flat, then it doesn't.
How is that relevant? I don't know what you mean. I'm not even following. They're literally taking pictures of the sky.
Yeah,
you're trying to say that has something to do with Earth. That has nothing to do with Earth.
All right, well, let's look at pictures that are on Earth, like something like this. No. Thoroughly impossible on a flat Earth.
Like I said, I'm not debating pictures because we could go all day with that. I'm not really here to do that because, like I said, I've seen your network. I know the type of tactics that you guys are trying to use to.
Yeah, we show evidence.
Some kind of a point.
We show evidence is our thing.
Not evidence. You're showing pictures. I don't care about the pictures. I came to
reproducible
show you the
things.
Evidence. I'm showing you evidence.
But you haven't shown me evidence of anything. You said a bunch of stuff is fake and nothing else.
So if you look up the definition of your independent variable, do you want to bring that up on screen?
Independent variable is a variable that can be manipulated or is left untouched by an experimenter.
So, and where do you source that from?
.edu. And
what .edu?
Oh God! Like I can go to 1,000 different sources. If you're going down the route of what. All right, let me ask you a question. No, I honestly don't think you know what an independent variable is. Can time be an independent variable?
If time is your presumed cause, is your independent variable. What I'm asking you about the photograph that I'm debating, I'm not debating a volcano or hill or mountain or sun or whatever. I don't even care about that because that has nothing to do with the debate of what I'm getting at. I'm saying you did not manipulate your independent variable for your picture that you've shown because your independent variable is Earth curvature. And what I'm trying to get at was you're saying that it is not possible for it to be rolling shutter. Where do you get that from? Can you source that where a picture has nothing to do with rolling shutter?
Well, SLR cameras don't really use rolling shutters, so.
No, I'm talking about your sources. I'm talking about your evidence of what you're saying. You just said they don't use that. I need to see some kind of evidence that actually shows that's the case. That's where I'm getting at.
This was taken with an SLR that doesn't use rolling shutter.
But the point is that you did not manipulate your independent variable, and you also did not take it with multiple cameras. That's my point. I'm not saying that your picture is fake. I'm not debunking your picture saying the picture is fake. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get you to understand that that's not conclusive evidence. That's my only purpose. You know what I mean? If you want to admit that, then that works. And anybody who just takes one thing.
What about?
I don't see how one.
What about all of the different? Right. Okay. So I could pull up a picture of Earth taken by the Discover satellite and the same one taken by the Himawari satellites that both show exactly the same thing. Wait.
Okay,
They both show exactly the same thing, at exactly the same time, taken from entirely different points in space using different imaging techniques.
I've heard these. I've already.
Oh,
heard
that's
these.
meeting
All
your
of those-
criteria.
No. I don't. How?
Because
I
it's
don't understand what you
different.
mean.
It's different cameras, different angles, different.
No. This particular picture that you have up now, this particular photograph. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about Earth as a whole.
Yep. This particular
Because
photograph,
it's like I
which
said,
clearly shows that there's curve.
Right. Now, do you have another photograph with a different camera exactly in that same that same position?
Probably not, because that's not how science works.
So if you take a picture here, you're saying you should move the camera and go somewhere else, and that's how you conduct experiments, is by
Well,
changing experiments, or what are you saying?
You're saying that
'Cause
I have
it
to
sounds-
take a bunch of different cameras and take the same image with different cameras to check that they're right.
If someone claims that the presumed cause is not the curvature of the Earth, and it's something to do with your camera as the first one, rolling shutter, or your lens, or your whatever it is, it doesn't matter, whatever it is. The point is whatever the presumed cause is, and
Okay. The guy that's taken this has just said that he's going to get the same image with a different camera on November the 2nd. So.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. That, and also if you can get a regular camera and scan it, with real film, that would be helpful too. I'm not saying it's a bad. Like I said, dude, I'm not here really to troll you. And I do know that you're making an attempt to actually troll me right now.
No, I'm not.
I mean?
I'm asking for evidence
like that.
Yeah, well, I did want to
you're-
point out the fact that that's the kind of things that flat earthers leave. And what you said about not being able to.
I'm not a flat earther. I'm saying that.
Well, you don't think the Earth is a
you're-
globe, so you're basically a flat earther.
No. Well, no. See, and that's another thing Globers say on across all the networks that I've seen is the same thing. It's all, I'm not really pitted against you. I'm not against you, and I'm not against anybody who thinks that the Earth is a globe. I am, like I said, here for truth. And whenever I see people overlooking certain things, it's like for instance, you haven't brought up a lot of the older guys who did, experiments, hundreds of years ago. And the thing
Samuel
is,
Rowbotham, I
well,
debunked all of that stuff as well.
Oh, no. I'm talking about like just guys in general that tried to push the heliocentric model. I'm trying to show Earth as a globe. I'm not talking about guys 500 years ago for flat Earth. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about globe side. And you haven't really brought them up. And I think that's
because
good.
I don't need to refer to stuff done hundreds and thousands of years ago, because we've got plenty of evidence now.
Right.
There is an
But like I
image
said,
taken every 10 minutes from space that can correlate with what we have.
But like I said, that's a whole different topic. It's like right now, I think that topic, just from satellites being taking images in space, that's a whole nother topic that someone could study 100 hours into before they come to, that's why I say I can't just go over some of those. That's why I only want to go over just the photographs. You know what I mean? That I was and the two claims that Russian vids made, because I'm saying that picture that you shows curvature, but it's one picture, and that's not a scientific experiment, and it doesn't follow the scientific method. Is that something that you can follow? Is that something you can get behind? I'm not debunking you. I'm not saying that what you're saying is false. I'm saying that I'm proving it's just not enough. Because if it is a globe, I would love for your network to actually be able to convince every flat earther of that. I want to be convinced of that as well. So I do like the picture. I just want the picture to be done right. I just want it done right. That's all I'm saying. I say I don't subscribe to NASA because they keep lying. I just want them to start telling the truth behind what they're doing.
That's a claim. You're making a claim there. NASA are lying. Provide evidence of that.
It's a lot of evidence.
Let's go back to your comment. Let's go back to your comment, right?
Let me tell you
Wait. You said I would crush you in debate. Been studying this for years upon years. You are defending a criminal government with more than 50 million a day. You don't even know baller calculations, blah, blah. Now, that 50 million a day, every single cent of that is accounted for.
It is written down and reported. It's written down and reported. You were not there. You're not part of the budgeting committee. You are not part of NASA at all.
So do you have any evidence that the thing is wait.
They lost the telemetry data.
No, they didn't really lose the telemetry.
That's what I'm saying. You're still trying to say that they didn't. It's just me saying one thing, you saying another thing.
Yeah, but I've
That
got evidence
technically
of mine.
is evidence. No, but there's more than enough evidence of NASA employees saying that, claiming that. It's written in multiple places. I'm not here to just put a claim against a claim in that, because I'm really here to debunk the photograph, because
But you didn't debunk. You just all you've said is that's there. Well, in fact, what you've said is, I admit there's curve, but I want to see it from another camera. That's not debunking. That's admitting what you're seeing.
No.
Yeah,
that's not what I said.
Everyone's heard you.
No, I said that doesn't follow the scientific method. What I said.
Can you tell me what the scientific method is?
Yeah, I know what a scientific method is, but like I said, all of that is besides.
Go on and tell me the scientific method.
You want me to tell you what the definition?
Give me break down what the scientific method is for me.
It's basically making observations, questions, hypotheses, doing an experiment, stuff like that, analyzing all of the datas
So you've no idea what the scientific method is then? And
forming your own conclusion. No, I'm just giving you like a overview. The point of where I'm getting at is
that's cool. You don't know it. That's all right. We'll go with that.
I just told you what the scientific method is.
But that wasn't the scientific method. Not exactly even in the slightest. But
making observations. Forming. Okay, well that's the point. That is a scientific method. You can research it. You can look it up.
Trust me, I know the scientific method, and that isn't it.
The point of where it's not enough data. One picture does not prove anything.
But it's not just one picture. There is pictures from all over. There are so many pictures that are showing that there is curvature.
I don't know why you're not understanding this. I don't want.
I know you want multiple cameras taking the same image. All right, and one of the guys, and that's going to be done on November the 2nd. But you know what?
All right.
Why haven't you attempted to do this? If you are so determined to find the truth, why have you not gone out to the beach with a level, looked at the horizon, taken photos with different cameras? You say that you are a truther.
I have.
Please show me those images.
I've done. I'm not at my desk. I'm actually in my recording studio. I'm not at my desk. I'm not here to. I've done my own research. I've never compressed a photo like that. That's why I asked you, how did you compress it? What program did you compress? Like I said, it's something I've never seen before. But and I'm not denying that there's some kind of a curve effect happening in it. What I'm denying is that it's not a real legitimate experiment, and there's no data set. There's just no data set, and just taking one picture.
Apart from the 150 images that Rory has on his channel of it, of course.
What I mean by data set, see, you're taking everything that I say 100% literal with certain things. I'm not talking about that picture. I'm talking about the. No. You're trying to focus in on one thing. I'm saying that taking 100 pictures. Say, okay, here you might be able to understand this. Say that there's nothing wrong with the camera. Okay, if there's nothing wrong with the camera, and you take 100 pictures, okay, with the same camera, and it all does the same thing, I could say it could be the compression software. So did you or did you not use other compression softwares to see if the same thing happens? Yes or no?
I haven't done it yet, but I could literally stick one into Photoshop right now and do the same thing.
No.
But the thing is, right, what you see is that there is reference points that show you that nothing else is happening. For instance, as I said before, this level bar, the bar is completely straight, and when it is compressed, it maintains that straightness. That hasn't changed, which shows you that the actual compression hasn't altered the image in any other way. And that's the same. If we go back to this one,
the picture I'm regarding.
We go back to this one. You can see that where it is, and when you actually compress it, it hasn't really altered what the level is, and you can still see the curve. So just because it hasn't been done with different cameras doesn't really show anything. I find it quite funny that in your comment here you said how you would crush me in debate. Yeah, you haven't brought any evidence to actually crush me in debate, and all you've said is that needs to be done with more than one camera. I'm going to say at this point you thoroughly failed to crush me in debate. If anything, I have embarrassed you.
That's your own claim. That's your own claim. You're still showing one picture. One picture.
There's millions of pictures.
You're showing no. You're showing the one picture, is what you're showing. What I came to debate is one picture, and people in your audience right now are saying that they're going to take another picture and they're going to go back and address me. You're the only one here saying that you're not going to address what I'm saying. You're the only one saying that you're.
I've addressed what you. I've addressed what you're saying.
No, you have not. You have not addressed it.
I have.
You said DSLR. You said DSLR cameras, or did you say SLR? Did you say DSLR or SLR? What did you say?
The particular type of camera that they were taking that it doesn't even use a rolling shutter. Rolling shutter affects moving images. Like
I said, when you take an image of something in nature, whether it's a tree blowing in the wind, whether it's propellers on an airplane, that's running, it's technically moving. Just because you're not moving with the camera doesn't mean that it's, that has nothing to do with it. It's still a degree of movement, even on a tripod. And everybody who's a real photographer knows that there's movement.
You know, a tripod keeps things still, right?
That's not, you're still
right. So I'm really not. Okay. So, say I was taking a photo out of a moving car, right? And I take the photo as I'm going past a fence post, right? I know the fence post is straight up, but because I'm moving, as the photo is taken, it would show
shutter speed.
It would probably show the fence post at an angle, all right? But if you are perfectly still in front of that fence post, the shutter speed is not going to make any difference. And in this photo that was taken, everything's still. There is no moving. It's on a tripod. So how is rolling shutter anything to do with this?
Like I said, it's only one picture. That's really the main problem. It's not necessarily about rolling shutter.
That's what you were saying.
It's not about no. What I'm saying is rolling shutter is not about if you're moving. You're misunderstanding. Rolling shutter is anything in nature moving, whether that's waves on the ocean, whether that's when you shoot a panoramic type of image. In certain cameras that have that ability, it pieces the image back together. And the way that it pieces the image back together is different depending on which camera that you get. If you get a cheap camera that doesn't, it's not able to do a good job with it, that's what happens. If you get a really expensive one that can do a better job, it does a better job. The same as you using paint to compress the photo instead of compressing the photo in multiple compressions, just to make sure that the software is not causing that effect to happen. I'm saying not enough tests. Basically, I came on here to say not enough tests have been conducted to actually say that is 100% proof of anything, because it's only one picture. The same as if a flat earther were to go all the way up into space, blah, 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 and take a picture of Earth and it turns out that it looks flat. One picture of a flat Earth is not enough to convince me that the Earth is actually flat.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing.
It's not enough of anything.
Here's the thing. There isn't any pictures of the flat Earth. Not one. There isn't any. But you know what there is pictures of. There is millions upon millions of pictures of
NASA,
of the Earth.
Of NASA's, of NASA's stuff.
Not just NASA. There's NASA 73 different space agencies. So
yes, and they're all linked together, and literally people have already
they're really not linked together at all.
I'm not debating that. I'm not debating that because that goes into too much. I'm not like, if you want me on to debate just that, then I can actually come back and I can debate just that. But I'm not here to go
I'd love to
over
debate
on
a particular thing.
Type of things.
Right,
I don't like debating on Earth pictures from space, because what you're doing is if I say I don't agree with NASA, you're giving me a NASA picture, telling me to debunk a NASA picture that I don't even agree with in the first place. That's bias. I don't want to see a NASA.
If you're against this picture, then you're actually against the entire brand of Hasselblad cameras.
Okay, that like I said, that doesn't make any sense at all. I don't have anything against any particular type of camera or anything like that.
This image, this image was taken with a Hasselblad camera with an 80mm film.
So
by Eugene Cerman, however you pronounce his name. Sorry.
So what you're saying is that particular image that was taken there by that particular camera, that makes me hate the whole camera. Is that what you're saying?
Well, you're saying that you don't trust the Hasselblad cameras because that was it's not just it was taken on a camera. It was then developed in a development room.
Let me ask you a question.
The whole process of photography.
Did the camera take the picture by itself, or did someone take the picture with the camera?
Someone took the picture. Someone pressed the button to close the shutter.
All right.
And
Well,
stuff,
there we go.
so-
That has nothing. That has nothing to do with the camera. I don't categorize. The one thing I notice about Globers is that they categorize things into one type of one. They categorize everything into one. Oh, so because I don't agree with this picture, I hate this camera, or because this one black guy made me mad, I don't like black people. That has nothing to do with what I am trying to say right here on this network to you now.
No, what you're saying is you don't trust NASA because you don't believe something with no evidence to show that you don't believe it. All right, I'll tell you what, right? How about how about we arrange another debate, all right, where you actually get some evidence of some things that you're saying? Because, frankly, all you've done today is go, no, I don't believe that, show me more. And
no, what I'm saying is that about the picture I was debating, and that's all I'm debating about. So are you admitting that that's not enough evidence, or are you saying one picture is enough evidence?
I'm saying it's backed up. I'm saying it's backed up by other observations that show the same thing. Like this one.
Yeah, but it's in a different location. So I'm not talking about that.
So
picture.
yeah, right.
So
two separate locations which doing the same methodology, which both show curvature.
Two separate.
Well,
but two separate locations are showing the exact same curve. So I like I said, I don't want.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'd say that's pretty good evidence that there's curve. If two separate places can get it.
Let me ask you. No, that's too picture that you just had up. Where is that picture being taken from? Like, what is that? What is he on? Is he down at the ocean level, or is he on a rock, or like where is he at?
Tommy, could you tell me exactly where you are for that? He'd tell me in the chat. He says he's going back there November the 2nd, and he'll get the same one. But to me, it looks like he's on a bay of some kind.
Okay, because does he have a video to back that up to show how he set everything up so he can explain to everybody how? Okay, because all of that's needed. That's why I say when you say you're showing evidence, I'm not denying you. I'm just saying that you have to show the evidence. You have to show me the entire experiment, etc., and it has to be done the proper way. You know what I mean? If you're not manipulating the independent variable or the presumed cause, you're just assuming that it's just Earth's curvature. I'm not denying that it's Earth's curvature. I'm saying that there's other things that it could be besides just that. And if you haven't done the tests to
what else could it be?
It is not that. But like I said, if it's not the rolling shutter, if it's not the compression software,
it's nothing to do with rolling shutter. And it's not the compression software because
anything moving,
but nothing's moving in that shot.
Photography.
It's nothing moving in that shot.
Yeah, but I don't know what kind of lens.
The fact that
I have no idea.
The fact that the board remains straight shows that the compression has done nothing to the rest of the picture. So
it actually looks like, to me personally, I don't even know where he actually is in the angle that he's even at. That's why I'm saying it's
22 meters above sea level. He says for that, but he's going. Yeah, but he's going back.
You have to show the whole thing. Is where I'm getting at. You can't just show like what happened on Globebusters or Behind the Curve with Jaron, saying some, just all of that stupid stuff that happened on there. It's like, show the experiment. I just want to see the experiment. But there was one last thing, if you have enough time.
Yeah, there's a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you before you go as well.
Okay, all right. Well, what's the verdict? I want to know what the verdict is on this. If he's going back to get more pictures, I want to know if that's settled then, if that proves, because technically if that proved it, then all that would be needed is one picture. And if he's going back to get more, then obviously I feel that I've thoroughly explained that that's not enough evidence. So is that right? Or are you not going to admit that I have a point with that? I mean,
no, he's just going back there anyway to do that. And he's going to do it when he's there.
Well, that's not the one. Yeah, but that's also that picture. That's not the one I want to see. I want to see the other picture that you have.
And Tommy Gromfield said he does have a video of setting that up. So, but the one for the Russian that we're showing you for Russian vids again.
Yeah.
If you go to the YouTube channel Rory, he's got like the whole data set of the pictures that he took, and I'm pretty sure there's actually video of him setting them up if I remember rightly.
Okay, all that's fine, but at the same time, even when you're doing that, it still, I think, is needed to also compress it in a different software, which you haven't done. You keep saying that you've done the evidence or you're presenting evidence. That you haven't presented that. You haven't presented any claim that I've made against this photograph. You're just saying to me and to your viewers that I'm just denying this and denying that. I'm not denying anything. I can care less about any of that because I've seen those debates. I've done those debates before, and I'm not really, it's like I said, when I mentioned laser tests, I know exactly what you were going to say. You were going to say refraction, etc. So I'm not going to mention that. If I mention the sun, you're going to say something else, the moon, something else, the stars, something else. But that other question,
facts, yeah.
Matter of fact, yeah, but like I said, that's what you consider to be facts.
No, backed
you know
by
what I mean?
evidence is usually what I mean.
Like I said, there's thousands of experiments of people sending hot air balloons, not hot air balloons, but their own tests, sending balloons up and videotaping
And
from
it always shows curve.
120,000 feet. No, I personally, like I said, I've seen some that did not have any curve. I've seen a lot of them that had no curve. A lot of them showed the same thing. Like I said, I'm not seeing the same thing that NASA showed and any of that other stuff. Even I'm not seeing it. You're saying that there's curve. I'm not seeing it. And but that's besides the point. People do experiments on a daily basis, and for you to say that you've already debunked every hundreds of, because literally there's hundreds of thousands of experiments that have been done, and I doubt
all
that
show
you went
they're
through
all
and
the same thing. What I debunk is the
See,
bad
and that's
methodology.
categorizing.
Yeah,
that's all categorizing. They're not all the same thing. They're not literally.
But
they're
they
literally
absolutely are, and they're never done correctly. Like whenever a flat earther does any kind of laser test, they never get the humidity. They never get the gradients and stuff of
asking
refraction.
for details about the picture. And I'm asking for details about this picture because you only took one picture and compressed it. And I'm doing the same thing that you're saying. So if you are debunking flat Earth, congratulations, and I'm happy that you're doing that.
Well, it's not hard, to be honest.
But where I'm getting at is that you're using the same types of methods that I'm using right now to say that picture you have is not showing. You're saying the humidity. I could say the same thing. You said rolling shutter. I said, well, maybe it was cold that day, or blah blah blah, or whatever. So that's why I say if you want to deny, if you want to, no, you misunderstand what I'm saying.
No, I really don't think
you're not following it.
I really am. And the main the theme of tonight has been I don't have evidence, but I demand you give me lots.
No, the main theme is that your picture has it's not a real experiment. You don't have enough.
It's one of those things that we like to call evidence. Which no flat earthers have. It's not just one picture, though. There is lots of pictures showing the same thing. And as I've said about 1,000 times, this is from a data set of over 150 pictures.
With the same camera. I want to see it with different, everything that it possibly could be. Just imagine.
Are those goalposts heavy?
No. I'm not trying to move any of it. I'm trying to just say that if you are going to show something as evidence, make sure that it covers all of its bases. That's basically all I'm saying. I'm not saying that what you're showing isn't real. I'm not denying the picture. I'm saying you just don't have enough. And I think that that's something that you should be able to admit to. Being a person who studies this and does this. What if right now for space the only thing that you had to study was just one person who said the space is real? Well, would you accept that, or would you prefer to have all of the data you have to show if space is real? So it's the same thing right now. You're trying to push one picture on me.
But that's the thing. I don't just have one picture. I have multiple observations from different places around the globe. But you're demanding very specific things, which isn't any part of any. That's not part of any.
The same.
That's not part of any scientific method or a way that experiments work. You don't take along like two different measuring tools to do the same thing.
No. Whatever the presumed cause is, that's where I'm trying to get at. You're just trying to say that the presumed cause is the curvature of Earth. I'm just trying to say
you're going down the sleeping warrior method of independent variables and stuff. Now, one thing that you guys need to understand, and it's very, very important, is correlation does not equal causation. Okay? Do you understand that?
Yeah, as far as you mean having hundreds of pictures and they all correlate with one thing? Is that what you're saying? Or like what exactly are you saying?
For instance, when Anthony Riley did his density experiment by putting the egg in a water and then adding salt, he instantly says, well, the thing I manipulated was putting in the salt, therefore that is the presumed cause, all right? But that's the same as me standing next to a light switch, all right? And turning off the light switch and saying, right, well, me physically pressing that button is the only cause of the light going on and off. There's a correlation between me pressing the button and the light coming on and off, but that isn't the cause. So when you're asking for a presumed cause and things, you're not really getting what the scientific method is about, because correlation doesn't equal causation.
Yeah, and I'm not saying correlation. Yeah, but where I'm getting at is I want to make sure that it's not just the camera causing it. I want to make sure it's not rolling shutter. I want to make sure it's not digital photography versus the standard. I want to make sure that it's not the compression software that you're using, etc., and stuff like that. That's where I'm getting. I just want to see the whole thing done the proper way. Does that make sense? I mean, I don't see how you're going to knock me. You know what I mean? How you're going to knock me on just wanting more evidence. I'm not denying.
I mean, it just seems that you haven't looked at all of the evidence. Like I said, all you're asking for. No, I haven't just showed one picture. I've showed a whole bunch of things.
I'm not talking about the separate pictures. I want to see. I'm talking about.
I know what you want. You want one picture taken with multiple cameras. Well, you know what? Go and do it. Go and do this observation.
But even if I were to post, so say I go do this, right, and I post it up somewhere, I'm sure your network is going to shoot it back down. So that's why I'm saying that you're the one presenting this experiment. Therefore, I don't understand why it's my job to go redo your experiment.
Because you're trying to disprove it.
Yeah, but it's not an experiment. It's just a picture.
I don't think anyone ever said it was an experiment. I think when MC Toon was presenting this, it was just one of the many bits of evidence that he was showing to show that the Earth isn't in fact flat. But we at this point we are going around in circles. So I do have a couple of questions to ask you, and then we'll wrap it up for today. You know, if you want to try and I want to debate you about the moon landings, because you seem absolutely sure about the moon landings being fake, right?
The moon landings is like level 1 stuff, and quite frankly, I don't go on and on about the moon landings. Were you there? Have you been to space in general?
That's called a genetic fallacy, so I'm just going to ignore that.
No, a genetic fallacy is what? That is when judging something based on its origin. Like that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now. I just want to know if you've actually been to space.
No.
You're talking. Okay,
but that doesn't make any difference, because that's called the genetic fallacy.
I'm just saying in general. I'm just saying in general. I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying that in general is that you want to debate moon landings. The moon landings is like, that's just.
Well, you said you have loads of evidence of that, and it's one thing that I really like to.
That's already been out here. It's been out here for years about that. Like more and more people are starting to understand that that all of that is fake. It's not
but
even
it's,
like
it's not. That's what I'm saying. Show me some evidence that it's fake. You haven't.
I mean. But how much evidence do you need for that? Or, like,
I've never seen any evidence that they're fake.
You're literally saying Eric Dubé, for instance. You brought him up about debunking him. His 200 proofs and stuff. I'm sure. Like I think I've seen some videos of him in the past. I've seen videos of him in the past.
Hey, where was Eric Dubé's data sets? Oh, with different cameras and stuff.
For what? He never presented a picture.
Like, he's presented lots of stuff like lighthouses being certain heights and blah blah blah. But where's his data sets of the pictures, etc., etc.?
Well, most of them are all back. You have to look at all of his stuff. Most of that stuff is backed up by his records, historical records, other experiments done by people that you can look up right on YouTube. Half the time you can find them when they actually run the experiments and stuff. But I'm not talking about his experiments in general. What I'm saying is that I expect him to show the same amount of proof for anything. You know what I mean? And
he's
it's
never
the same way
anything.
I expect. See, but that's what I'm saying. He wrote a book called 200 Proofs, and you're saying
it's actually about 17 proofs with a bunch of repeated things, basically along the same lines. And his 200 proofs are literally misunderstanding physics and misunderstanding how to calculate curvature. There isn't a single proof in there. at all.
I think that's the same. I think that's the same thing that anybody would say who's just trying to debunk him. Now you're just physically saying that, but what you're asking from me about the moon landings is I can give you a really good example of that right now. You're asking me for stuff on the moon landings. That would be the equivalent of me asking you to go through each one of his 200 proofs and show me. And if for instance, say you did that
I'm actually working on a video called Eric Dubé's 200 proofs debunked in 30 minutes or less. So I'm about 20 minutes through making that video, and I literally address all 200 of his proofs. But
I mean, as long as you're not making blind statements.
I'm basing it all on real physics and experiments and observations that we've had. So it's quite easy.
That's what Simon Dan does. He does a lot of that, and he just says, well, it's been found that this is this, and it's been found. I don't care what it's been found. If you're not going to show it, that's why I'm surprised so many people listen to him. And the only thing he does is just say it's been found in science. Oh, well, yeah, to each their own if you think that. I mean, honestly, I would say the same thing about Eric Dubé. If he said the same stuff that, but when I seen him try and debunk Eric Dubé, it just looked like he was just standing there and he started making jokes about him. And I'm like, dude, I thought this was a truth network. I'm not here to laugh. I'm here to learn. And
I think you missed the point of a lot of these channels then, because I'm not.
Well, a lot of them
I'm here to entertain. I'm here to make fun of stupid things that are said.
Yeah,
and stupid things like saying the Earth is flat and the moon landings were fake are very, very stupid things to say when they're so easily backed up. It's not my opinion. It's not an opinion. It's based on verifiable facts.
Viewpoint is what I was going to say. I wasn't going to say opinion.
No, it's not viewpoint.
That's your
facts.
Own viewpoint. See, like I said, that's what you're going to say. You're going to say that that's facts. And I've been down that rabbit hole. That's why I say. So what did you want to? Did you want to ask me on this now about the moon? You had a question?
No. Just a couple of general questions that I like to ask all people that come on here to debate me. I think we're probably done with the debate for tonight. I generally would like to debate you on the moon landings, right? Because I've been doing flat Earth and stuff so long. I want to try and do other things. So I would like to debate you on the moon landings. If you can bring some evidence that they were fake, that would be brilliant. But for tonight, I think we're going to leave it. But before you go, I have a few questions to ask you. We like to call them sharpshooter questions. So the first one is 10 to the negative 17 a positive or a negative number?
Hold on. That's another thing. I don't do the math stuff or any of that stuff because like the math is easily debunkable to a certain degree because you guys seem to categorize that all as one thing. I want to show you. I want to show you real quick. Let me just show you. Let me show you how math is not relevant to reality.
Okay, try.
Okay, so for instance, right now you have no apples. I give you one apple. Can I take two apples away from you?
No, but yeah, that would mean I would owe you an apple.
No. I just want a yes. I just want a yes or no. Can I take two apples away from you?
No.
And the reason for that is because you can make negative impressions and negative equations, negative formulas for whatever, for this opposite force of that opposite force, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of that's perfectly fine. But the point is that statement I just said right there proves that math is not 100% reality at all. And you know what I mean?
Not at all, because let me counter that with you have £10 in your bank and you go to buy something that's £35. It goes through. You still have that thing. You now owe your bank £25 because you have a negative amount of £25.
No.
So
that's called over.
Negative numbers are a things, right? No. But these aren't specifically asking questions about math. This is just trying to get a gauge of how much people know. So
I'm not really. I understand it, but I'm
not
really
just
doing that.
Just see if you can answer these basic questions.
Listen.
People in the chat want to see it. And trust me, it's not just. I don't have a network, and it's not just my people in there. There's a hell of a lot of flat earthers.
You have a network, and you have a network full of trolls. We
don't have any trolls. We have people that are on facts.
Listen.
I mean, can you answer the simple questions?
No. I'm trying to explain to you why I'm here. I'm here to debate with you about just that picture. And the problem is that you're showing me.
And you did very badly about it.
Yeah, and you're gonna say that, and that's the reason why I don't.
I mean,
see the
everyone
purpose.
can watching this will
Everyone
say
does, because no one can ever defeat you, because you are a god. You're like the smartest guy I've ever met in my entire life. It's just like, dude, it's not reality.
I mean,
you're not in.
Thanks,
you're
I guess
not in
that's
reality.
true.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I know it is. And
I'm nowhere near as smart as I'd like to be. I know that for a fact.
Well, there's my point. There's my point. That's why I'm not answering those bogus questions about math and all of this other calculations.
They're not bogus questions.
Astronomical numbers and
no. You misunderstand. You misunderstand.
No. I understand 100% perfectly. That's why I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. I appreciate you having me on, but I'm not here for that. Strictly because you're not even admitting that I actually have a point with your one picture you're showing. You're doing two. You're doing two different experiments.
I'm a god, guys. You heard it here first.
You're doing two different experiments from two different locations with two different cameras
that both give the same evidence. So if I had a triangle,
software,
if I have a triangle of sides
problem.
1, 1, and 1, what would be the internal angles?
60 degrees. That's
well done.
That's my last one.
You're one of the first one that got it.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
If I divide 5 by 0, what do I get?
Listen. I'm not here to debate that. Okay.
Oh, I'm not debating. I just want to see if you know.
No, because that's the problem, is that you're not acknowledging any point that I say.
Because you haven't made any points.
My point is, you showed one picture, and even the guys in the chat are saying they'll go get another one. And you're the one saying that I don't have a point, and yet they are going to go get another one because
he's going there, and he will do it when he's there.
But that's the point.
You know what? There isn't just one picture. Let's talk about Himawari. Every 10 minutes, they get a picture of the entire fucking planet.
Himawari is its own topic. That's my point.
Yeah.
Himawari is its own topic.
All right, do you want to debate me on Himawari?
Is its own topic. No, because I think that the Himawari, I mean, I've researched that like years ago, and honestly, it's been pounded into the ground, even by like Taboo Conspiracy, etc. And I'm just not here to go over satellites. I'm not here to debate. That's like me asking you, do you want to have a I don't want to talk about
a debate on what? Sorry, I didn't hear what you said then. You
that's like you asking me to debate you about Superman. It's like, I'm not going to debate
I could debate you about Superman.
Superman's fake. I'm not here to debate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to debate you on him. It's like, oh, how far can his eyes shoot lasers? I'm not here to debate
Himawari isn't
on fake stuff.
Himawari isn't. You're making a claim that it's fake. Prove it.
No. Because I'm not here to debate it. I don't subscribe to the Himawari. I don't.
You don't need to subscribe to reality.
No. It's not about reality.
It absolutely is about reality.
It's your version of what you think. It's like right now, I'm sitting here saying that I like your
verifiable facts.
Literally, I want you to hear, because you don't understand what's going on. I literally sat here and said that I agree that your picture is showing curvature, but it's not enough. Can you give me more? And you're literally saying I have no point in that at all. You're literally saying that.
There's more curvature. There's more curvature. Jeranism showed me curvature. Thank you very much, Jeranism. Here's more curvature.
I'm not here for
me.
Jeranism. I'm not here for Jeranism.
Here's the moon being a definite sphere with shadows in the craters.
That is not the same picture. I didn't come here to debate the moon, Lake Pontchartrain. I didn't come here for any of that. I didn't come here for satellites. And that's why I already knew when I came on here, I wasn't going to answer any questions about any of that type of stuff, because
what you mean is you can't answer any questions.
Oh, no, I can answer. I can answer them, but I'm just not here for that. Like, honestly, I'll be honest. I really would answer them if you actually had any type of modesty when it comes down to the point that I'm trying to make about how you need more than just one picture with the same camera or the same compression software. You realize that any software is going to compress something from left to right exactly the same, right? No. Actually, let me correct you there. Like I said, I do work with video editing software, with all of that stuff.
What software do you use?
I use Blender, for PBR shading, etc., like advanced type stuff, to Element 3D, all the stuff in After Effects as well. And I also use Studio One, Logic Pro, Pro Tools, all the way to Sonar, X.
I mean, that's audio stuff, but
Yeah, and the point is that all of the softwares are all different, and they sound different. So if I tell you right now, my studio is fully facilitated, I use that software, but is my audio being affected by the software? No, not at all. Why?
Yeah, but
Because
that's not relevant to taking a picture and compressing it from left to right.
Yeah,
like Photoshop will do that exactly the same as Paint will do that.
I just want to see it done from multiple reference points. That
all right, well, how about you take that picture and you put it in your own software and compress it from left to right with different lots of software. All right?
And can I tell you the problem? Can I tell you the problem with that?
You can try.
It's one picture.
And
So
go and get some of the other 150 off the data set then. That's cool. No worries.
I didn't do that, and you don't need that many, but you do need to show that that the same stuff is happening with with different cameras, with different compression software. I mean, I don't see how you can't seem to understand that. I don't see how that's such a insult to you.
It's not an insult. It's a non-point, because when you can show the same thing from different locations with different cameras and get the same effect, then it shows that that's what's happening. And a different camera isn't going to change the image. You know, it's literally just taking the pixels of what's there.
But that's a statement. That's why I say that's.
Oh, you've made plenty of statements.
No, but I'm not making. No.
But honestly, I think we're going round in circles. Your statement of "I will crush you in debate" has been thoroughly debunked. You didn't crush me in the slightest.
So says you. So says you.
So says everybody else. You haven't debunked anything. Honestly,
that's one. It's one picture.
Like you really need to. If you need help with those goalposts, I'm sure there's some other flat earthers that can help you.
I'm not trying to move any globe posts. I just want a data set.
Any globe posts? Did you just say? Nice. Thank you.
Or whatever it is, gold post, whatever you said. I'm not. See, that's what I'm saying, dude. How do people take you serious? I'm just literally sitting here having a debate with you
because I have all the evidence.
You're trolling.
I'm not trolling.
Like, I'm not
I've been asking you for evidence all night, and you've not given me anything.
Evidence for what?
Anything. And one of your statements. I would love to have any evidence of any of your statements.
That's for your picture. It's for your picture.
And it wasn't. You realize it wasn't my picture. You realize it's from a different YouTuber that was then. Because you said you could debunk it, and you didn't.
Then why are you?
And you say you've got discernment, but you won't even take a test to prove your discernment. Why don't we just do it before you go? Why don't we just do this test before you go?
No. The point is that
no, come on. You said you got good discernment. You can tell if things are fake or not. So let's do it.
No, listen. I want to explain it to you so that you understand. When I sent you an email, I said that I wanted to debate this photograph. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you knew about this
photograph, done that,
and I gave you a reference point on that photograph. Is that right?
You said you wanted to debate about that photograph, and I've got that photograph.
And I said it was with Russian vids, and I explained to like you had reference to who he was debating with, MC, etc. So you knew like Reds was in there. Everybody was in there. So that's what I thought. I thought that everybody was going to be this. You know, I thought you understood that. So I knew that you weren't the one debating in there. You were kind of like moderating, etc. But that was the point. Was that I just made that comment. So you kind of stuck up for that. So I thought that you would actually have the person I needed to debate on here tonight. Is that not what happened, or what's the case?
No, you said that you could crush me in debate, and I said to do that.
The debate is concerning just the picture, because I'm not here to try and do that. And I personally think I have.
You're saying that the picture is fake or whatever. So let's test that claim.
I did not say the picture is fake. I never said that anything that you've said on this network is fake. I said that it's one picture, and the presumed cause of the picture, even that second picture that you showed me, obviously had some kind of curvature in the picture. You can see it without it being compressed.
Yep.
Now the other picture, the first picture I wanted to debate about, doesn't look like there's any visible curvature, which is why you compressed it in the first place. Therefore, that means that there's two different offsettings in the first place right there. What is it, more curvature on the other picture, but not on yours? Shouldn't it be the same amount of curvature?
Well, it depends on the field of view. You do understand what a field of view is, right?
Like that is why I said that.
Do you know what a field of view is?
all of that is besides the point.
No,
All
it's
of that-
not. Do you know what a field of view is? Hello?
To compress it, etc., and see if you get a different result. That's called testing.
Right, so you don't know what field of view is. That's cool. No worries. So this image on screen, is that real or CGI?
Okay, all right. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm finished debating. I just wanted to actually run this because I actually wanted to debate with you in general about other stuff. But if you can't even like see that what I'm asking for from you is just a little more evidence, like you seem really defensive and you seem like there's just a
I'm telling you that
problem.
we can get you the evidence. And I'm
Okay,
telling you
well,
that
then
there's
what you're telling
150 photos of that one particular thing. I'm telling you that I have different people giving me different observations with different cameras.
I want the same experiment done. You understand what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? It's
So,
like right now.
Hey, right. So let's right. Okay, hold on. So this is one of Soundy's late Pondicherry videos, pictures, and this is another one. Those were taken with different cameras. Both show curvature.
But it's still not the experiment that I'm asking for because I'm not here to debate that.
So you want that one specific photo to prove something.
If you are going to present anything as evidence, then it needs to be just that. It needs to be evidence. It needs to be tested, and it needs to be repeatable. And
it absolutely is repeatable. Anyone can go and do it.
No. I'm not talking about just go take a picture randomly out somewhere. I'm talking about that's like me saying right now this picture you have up that I see curvature in, and then I go and take a picture of somewhere else and there's no curvature or something. It's two different locations. It has nothing to do with the same location. All I said was I didn't say you faked anything. You didn't fake any pictures. You're not even the person who presented that. I acknowledge that. That's perfectly fine. I don't know why you had me on here if you weren't even going to acknowledge that what I'm saying is exactly what I said. So what I'm trying to say is
I brought you on because you said that I'm a retard and I shouldn't procreate and that you would crush me in debate.
Oh, and to be honest with you, I was really talking about your network. I wasn't really talking about you directly, and I wasn't talking about you directly in general. But
FTFE is retarded. Lol. Holy shit. Lol. Do not procreate. That's directed straight at me, dude.
So what you're saying is that your name, or do you go by another name?
That is my YouTube channel.
Okay, all right.
I am FTFE. It's not other people. I am FTFE.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I was commenting on that video in general, and I wasn't necessarily just directing it directly at you. I wasn't pointing. I'm not talking to you in general. When I seen Reds in there as your moderator, etc. I was actually talking to everybody in that chat in general. So, and the point of it was exactly what I'm saying right now is that I just want a little more evidence, and you're all defensive, and you're saying that that's not necessary and blah blah blah. And the same.
I'm saying that we've got evidence out of the wazoo, but you just hand wave dismiss it.
It's different. I don't understand how you can have two different pictures and say that it's the same thing, and it's
because it shows the same thing.
Software. It's the same software. I just want all the T's to be crossed, all the I's to be dotted. That's it.
If you require that level of evidence, then you are the one that needs to go and get it.
Yeah, and like I said, all that's fine. And I could say the same thing about all the other flat earthers that are out there doing all of these long-range experiments, etc. I'm not here for that. I'm just here clarifying what I was saying and why that's not what I would say is evidence. So if you would consider that evidence, that's not evidence. That's weak evidence. As far as I'm really concerned, it's really, really weak. It's not tested. It's not, you know what I mean? You're saying...
Well, I mean, the 150 photos, and then Rory's also done a bunch of other things, and...
that's not what I said was causing it. That's not what I said was causing it. I said you need different cameras. I said different cameras, and I also said different software.
That's your specific criteria that no one else ever has.
Those could be causes. Every software is designed differently. Every software
yes, but a different software is not going to compress something left to right and cause different things to happen. Otherwise, it is not doing its job.
I would argue that statement.
Right. Let me clarify the statement, right? If I took a picture, put it in Photoshop and compressed it left to right, and I took that same picture and I put it in Paint and compressed it left to right, if it was different, one of those softwares is broken.
There's a lot of, okay, let me give you a quick example that's real easy for you to understand really easily. There's something called triangular panning law and circular panning law, and this has to do with music, because that's really a lot of my expertise too, is dealing with different softwares for music.
You should probably stick to the music.
No, I've done different softwares for the video and for photography as well. So I do a lot of the artwork. I do all things media, multimedia related. So it's not just music. I don't want you to think that I can't explain to you about the software. I can, but it's a lot easier if I actually explain to you about the music. There's circular panning law, and there's also triangular panning law. And those do things differently. So two different softwares will literally two different softwares will literally sound completely different. They sound completely different. It's the same setup, the same microphone, the same process, the same everything. But just by changing certain things or having it be in different softwares, it all renders exactly the same. Do you understand what I'm saying? So what you're saying is that Photoshop. Now, do you know how much Photoshop costs, by the way?
Yes, I have the whole Adobe suite, so I know how much it costs.
Okay. Now, what about Paint? Paint
is free.
So, for instance, if they are the same thing, what's the price point if they both do the exact same thing? They don't. They both do things differently, is what I'm trying to explain to you.
Yes,
so
but what I'm saying is that if you compress something left to right, it doesn't matter how it's been done. You're going to show the same thing.
You have to prove that. I understand what you're saying. I could say
I should probably contact Adobe and tell them that they've got issues.
No, you don't have to go through all that. What I'm saying is that when you run the proper tests, there's nothing anybody can say. So if you it's like, what do you consider being debunked? It's like right now, if you just do one test and you say, hey, I just debunked Eric Dubé. It's like, no, you didn't. You just made one statement. That's it. Same as right now, I'm saying that you have to cover your bases and show way more than just one particular thing. Do you understand what I mean by that? Like you're taking one picture. You're taking one picture. And you're literally saying that's enough evidence. I'm saying that there's other causes for that. And you're literally just saying that Photoshop works the same way as Paint, and I don't think it does.
I'm not saying it works the same way as Paint. I'm saying that if you compress something left to right, no matter how the rendering of that is done, you're going to get the same thing. Otherwise, one of the softwares is broken.
Okay, well, I would like to see you guys actually do that if that is the case. But I'm just saying, from a standpoint that if you want all flat earthers or anybody who's questioning any of this, if you want them to actually know for 100%, then you have to cover it 100%. And I just don't see how just taking a picture here and taking a picture there is actually going to show that the picture here is some way, because that's like taking a telescope and looking up at the space and saying, look, Earth is like them other planets. And it's like, apparently there's no life on those other planets. So it's like, you can't necessarily look up in the sky and say that that's what's happening here.
Right. Okay. So
it's completely different. So
if you're not, let me just put this up a sec. All right. Here is both of these. That is taken with one camera, and then the same thing, same curve, same different camera, same location, and when you compress it, you get a curve. So
my
same location, different cameras, both get the same thing. Does that satisfy your criteria?
Not necessarily. I mean,
how's those goalposts? Heavy?
No, I understand what you're saying. That's better. I appreciate that. That's better, but it's still the same software. I said that there's multiple reasons behind why something is showing curvature. I'm not saying that it's just that, you're taking the same photograph with the same camera. I'm saying with multiple different cameras in the same location with a reference point. I want to see a reference point. That's what I'm saying, is that a point of reference, having multiple cameras, different camera lenses, and doing real film. You have to cover your bases. It's the same as somebody says, well, if I took it with a regular camera, there wouldn't be any curve. But if you take it with a digital camera, there's curve. And, it all goes back to the same thing. Same as I've had with people coming into the studio talking about recording, analog versus digital. There's a difference between all of it. Regardless of whether or not you understand any of that, there's a difference between all of it. So I understand that. That's better, but that's not the photograph I was debunking. You see, if you had showed that photograph from the beginning, then the only thing I would say about that is running through different softwares. You know what I mean? But like I said, it's all it's all hearsay in my opinion. So okay. I just wanted to.
I probably can't do it live right now, but I will run that those photos, I'll run them both through Paint and through Photoshop. Okay, and then I'll send you the results.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I basically just came in here just to say that because it seemed like last time that's what's misunderstood. And it's like there's certain levels of evidence that some people accept and some that don't. So that's where I'm getting at. So I'm not here to for any of the pseudoscience stuff. I'm just here to say that. So if you're not going to
pseudoscience, like all flat Earth and stuff. That's cool.
No, I mean,
right.
just in general.
Okay, I get your point that you don't think that one camera taking 150 photos is enough evidence. I think that's fucking stupid, but...
So what if your lens is broken or something's wrong with your camera? Like, just answer me that question. Now, I'm not saying that's the cause. I'm saying, what if you take a broken camera out and you take 150 photos? Guess what? You got 150 photos with a broken camera.
Okay.
Taking more of the same thing.
Broken.
Yeah, but you're missing the point. You're still missing the point. It's the same lens. All of it's the same lens. All of it has a certain amount of artifacts that it adds into the picture. Every camera does. The same as audio equipment. Every amount of audio equipment versus, compressors, the A to D, D to A converters, and clocking systems add their own amount of jitter, etc., with microphones, etc. Therefore, you know what I mean? It's all relevant. All of it's relevant. If you go out there and you take a picture with a camera that, use a GoPro, you're going to see curves. That's the way that works. You know what I mean? So if you're not going to test the theory with a different, that's like going and taking it with a GoPro, and then I come out with a camera and take the same picture and there's less curve. So who's right, the GoPro or me? And it's same thing with a wide angle lens. Who's right, the wide angle, the GoPro, the standard? Who's right? 55 mil. Who's right? It's all of that. That's why I said if you are going to run a test, then the test needs to be ran the proper way. So
okay.
Like I said, I do. So if you can't admit that. Because you're saying I have no point. I'm saying I just wanted to see good, evidence. That's all, more evidence.
And I've shown you plenty of evidence. It's just you don't think it's sufficient. You want different cameras at the same point. That's cool. Thanks to this conversation, I am going to be able to soon present you with what you've asked for. Well, not the Russian Vids one, but the other ones. But I think we have come to an impasse at this point. We're just going around in circles. All right. How about we arrange another date for you to come back? I will have some extra evidence and you bring some evidence and we can discuss a few more things, all right?
Yeah, that works, man.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for coming on, Will, Cool Vision. I very much enjoy your music and I think that you should probably stick with that. But yeah, we'll get you back another time and we'll have a discussion where we both have some more evidence. How's that sound?
Okay. All right, sounds good. Thanks, man.
All right, take it easy.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to send Team Skeptic a link and Sean Hufford a link, and we can have we talk about what's just happened, because that was fun. Team. And I'll get one for Sean. One sec, guys, while I just get the folks in. Okay, all right. So that was kind of pointless. He didn't have any evidence of any kind. So yeah, I'll just get rid of that picture. I don't know why they don't like showing themselves on camera. I'm not even sure if Team and that are free, but we can get them to come in if they are. But guys, thank you very much for watching tonight. Wow, 700 odd you watching, that's always nice. So next week, next Saturday, I'm going to be doing a 20-hour stream to celebrate my 20,000 subscribers. I'm still kind of blown away having 20,000 subs, a little bit giddy about it all. And yeah, next week I'm going to be doing a 20-hour stream to celebrate that. I'm going to be doing a couple of debates, be doing a couple of live debunkings, get on a couple of people to have some fun. Hey, Sean.
Hello.
Thoughts?
Well, I actually stepped out about a half hour into it once he started doing the stuff about the rolling shutter, and I just couldn't stomach any more of it.
Yeah.
His definition of the use of rolling shutter is woefully wrong for somebody who's supposedly a professional in this field.
I'm no expert. I think I explained it well, but could you go over it better?
Rolling shutter simply is a effect you get when either your target or the camera is in motion. If both are stationary, there is zero rolling shutter issues. None. Because the way it scans down, if the target's in motion or the camera's in motion, it's not going to scan at the same speed as the target's moving, which is going to cause it to skew or distort. If the target and the camera are stationary, there is no rolling shutter. For this guy to propose rolling shutter caused the curvature in Rory's videos or pictures, he's full of shit.
Yeah.
He knows nothing about rolling shutter. Or he's just being completely dishonest, which is what I'm actually siding with.
So his entire argument was that there hasn't been enough of those particular photos done. Do you think that holds any stead?
Well, first his argument was there was only one, which I corrected you on because there's like 150 in the folder. So when did he change to where there's not enough? When he said that
it has to
I
be
just need more than one.
It has to be from different cameras.
Okay, myself and Reds have done this same thing with the Mavic Pro.
Oh no, it has to be the same location with different cameras.
Oh, but he did say that he needs it from one of his contentions was it's only from one location, so it don't count. It's only one picture, so it doesn't count. You provide him with over 150 pictures, it no longer counts because there's only 150 pictures. Does this guy ever rest, put those goalposts down, or does he just constantly carry them?
I know, and he thinks that he made a good point and that he beat me somehow.
What point was that?
I don't know. I didn't notice any of the points really. The fact that I wouldn't admit to it not being good enough evidence is apparently a win for him.
Well, speaking of good enough evidence, when you first started up, you talked about Himawari 8, the Go 16. You briefly brought up the EchoStar 11 because that's when he's saying, well, there's not enough pictures. EchoStar 11 was a live video feed.
For how long?
For 18 months, 24/7.
Yeah.
And then the camera started to fail. So it would run for like 3 more months. The camera would have to reset itself. Then it would run for 2 months. The camera would have to reset itself. And eventually the camera stopped turning back on altogether. But he claiming, well, there's only ever pictures of Earth and they can all be faked. What about that live feed from EchoStar 11? That was a one-of-a-kind thing that, while it hasn't been repeated because there's no money in it, because EchoStar 11 was a Dish Network-driven satellite, and they actually had a channel just to watch the Earth turn.
Welcome, Miles Davis. How are you doing, sir?
Hello. That was painful.
Yeah, I thought so. I know you've got a lot of expertise in photography, so do you have anything to say on what he was saying?
No, I don't have any expertise in photography at all.
But you can still probably call out his bullshit, right?
Yeah, well, the whole idea that he's kind of right in a way, I suppose, that if you're going to produce if I was trying to produce a scientific paper on the basis of was it Tommy's picture you were using?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd want to repeat it on different days. You might want to use different cameras, different lenses. You might want to use different software for the compression, just to sort of cross every I and cross every T and dot every I. But I mean, really?
I know. Oh, that irked me when he tried to say that the compression software you're using was what was causing that curve. But the picture from Tommy Groundwald that you had was absolutely brilliant because it had a straight edge in frame.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was trying to say to him.
If it would have been a compression issue due to the software, it would have curved that straight edge as well as the horizon. But it didn't. It wasn't a software compression issue.
No. And I was trying to point out to him, he's saying, oh, well, you need to do it in different softwares. So he's trying to say that it would give me a different result if I put it through Paint as if I put it through Photoshop. But I mean, it's not even really compression. It's just like squeezing the image from left to right.
Yeah, it's technically not compressing anything. You're just recropping it to, have a narrower border from left to right than top to bottom. You're rescaling the image. You're not compressing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, rescaling, not cropping. But yeah.
Flat earthers don't have anything. How many times did I ask him for evidence of something?
Yeah, he finally.
I couldn't answer that, honestly.
He was on the wrong computer or something, but why come to a debate without any evidence?
I know. And we've been speaking for a while. He could have, sorted some kind of evidence out, but no. It was pretty bad. Tommy Granville does say on the 2nd of November he's going back. I will have another board on top, as in Rory's photos. So yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, so Tommy is going back to get more. That was a painful debate. Like, he just didn't get anything that I was saying. It's just the old, it's not true because everyone's lying to you. I don't accept NASA because they're lying. Well,
so
how about...
you actually got me just as I was getting out of the shower. So what was the net result? Did he rage quit, or was it an actual amicable end?
Yeah, I kind of brought it to an end and said, time to go now, because we're just going around in circles. I've said to him that we can have another debate if he can get together some evidence of some of his claims, and hopefully by then Tommy have taken some more photos, and I can use those to back up the claim and everything.
Miles, while he's still listening, and this is actually on my mind, he brought up some of the citations. He said that Secure Team, which he's referring to Secure Team 10.
Yeah.
NASA's faking everything, so he trusts people like Secure Team. Okay, do you know the history of Tyler and Secure Team?
No, I did not.
Was he aware that he... Yeah, Daz the cameraman actually addressed Secure Team many years ago because Tyler decided to do an image of Nibiru seen behind Saturn. And what Tyler did was got a picture of Neptune and then superimposed it behind Saturn and blurred it out a bit and made it grainy so you couldn't tell what it was without really looking into it. So he faked an image to push a narrative. It's been proven. And he's saying that NASA fakes everything, but Tyler's a trustable source.
Yeah.
Tyler has also gone so far as to fake an interview with this astronomer when it was actually just Tyler using a voice changer. Also proven. So where is your trust in this Secure Team 10 dude when he's been proven time and time again to be faking things?
It's a case of they demand the highest levels of evidence from us, but they don't ever hold themselves to those same standards.
Well, no, he's got all this NASA fakes everything with no evidence whatsoever. Secure Team 10 is a known, as Renee just pointed out, is a known hoaxing channel, but he cites them as a credible source. And they are proven time and time again to be just lying about everything.
Yeah.
Not just saying they are, but actually proving that he's lying.
Oh, man. Flat earthers will never actually be able to bring anything that is credible in evidence-wise. How long have you been doing this now, Sean? 5 years?
Oh, God. Yeah, 5 years. 2014 is when I first started to do my first videos.
Have you ever had any, I use this term lightly, but evidence has been presented to you that's made you think, I don't know how to debunk that?
Not once.
What about you, Miles?
Not really. I mean, occasionally these shots over water, you see a little bit more than you should do, or a little, but I mean, it's pretty simple to sort it out.
No.
I mean, remember the Isle of Man nonsense that when Riley started that, the video appeared. I woke up in the morning, I switched my computer on, the video was there, I played it, and 10 minutes later, I'd completely debunked the whole thing. And
there's been a couple things in Flat Earth. There's been a couple things in Flat Earth that's made me scratch my head for about 5-10 minutes until I actually figured out the things involved in everything, making it appear to what they're claiming to be seeing. But nothing has ever made me say, they could be right. Not one thing.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's all just denial, and than being stupid. I'm still waiting for a flat earther to come and give me a proper debate with science and everything that I can actually get my teeth into, because it gets very frustrating just having to explain very basics to people.
Well, that's why you're scraping. You've worn the bottom of the barrel out.
Yeah, there is no barrel left.
Everybody who pushes the flat Earth, I actually said this in the comments when you first started. Everybody who pushes flat Earth will not debate anybody because they can't let their views be put up to scrutiny because they don't stand up.
No.
The only people you're able to get now is the people who parrot the people who are pushing it. Which, again, this guy's a fan of Russian vids, so he's going to eat whatever Russian vids hook, line, and sinker, without question.
Oh God, Riley's just released another video.
Oh no.
Oh yeah.
Heliocentrism debunked again. Pop goes your model. Is this like the video he released a few days ago where he turned off gravity in Mick West's gas pressure simulator and then said, see, if you don't have gravity, it doesn't work?
Well, it's cheap.
Great. Well, he's trying hard. What do you reckon, Miles? Is it his turn for dumb fuck of the year?
I'm split over this. I really am. I think he wants to win it.
You think he wants to
So
win it?
for that very reason, I don't want him to win it.
Have you seen
God.
Have you seen my little figurine?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Love it.
It's far too good looking to be Riley.
I know, it's like the best version of Riley. Guys, I'm going to read the super chats and then we're going to get out of here for tonight.
I should be asleep. I'll get up early.
Yeah,
I'm only still up because the clock's changed tonight.
But
One last thing before I go, Craig.
Yeah.
That guy reminded me of a character in The Vicar of Dibley who kept going, oh, no, 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 no.
You know you're
yes.
right. No, yes. Brilliant. Next week I'm doing a 20-hour stream, so I'll be on all day. I'd love to have you on at some point during the day, Miles.
Oh, God. I just went
I'd
through
like to
parts
do
of
that
the 2 minute and 12 second video. Riley actually makes the attempt to sing.
Oh, what? Oh,
He
my
sings.
God. This is
And
going to be gorgeous.
he still doesn't understand. He still doesn't understand audio levels. I'll just say that.
Well, I sometimes suck on my audio levels, but oh my
Oh,
goodness.
this is bad.
Right, let's read the super chats that I've got tonight. $1.99 US from Schrodinger's cat. A flat earther showed up. Well done. Yes, he actually managed to get into the call, so he's already better than 95% of flat earthers. $2 from Damjan Vizhnek. Ashamed to call himself a flat earth, so he's a truther. Yep. 50 secs from Per Ben Hardinson. My flat earther friend decided to walk to the end of the world to prove it was flat. Eventually he came around. Budunch. £5 from Major Tom. Hi FTFE, love your channel, keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Major Tom. $10 from Milkman Dan. A core vision is mainly wrong, but is cordial, plus levels of the IQ and coherency of the normal flerf. One of the best conversations I've heard in a while, thanks FTFE. $5 from FE News. FTFE, he is talking about the maps show the history and location from FE News. Yeah, who cares about what maps from 500 years ago show? $1.99 from Stephen Steen. The new maps are all photoshopped. $2 from Mr. Angry 101. Personal incredulity isn't proof of a flat earth. $1.99 from Propo Lols. I have evidence, but I can't use it here. Every flat earther ever. $2 from Greg Desitov. Flerfer, show me the evidence. Yeah, I'd love them to. $1.99 from Stephen Steen. This is boring. I'm going to watch a TikTok. I love you too, Stephen. $9.99 from Paul Schumann. This guy cannot formulate an argument. I help you out a little bit. If you're going to refute a premise, you must present evidence for your point. Yeah, they don't get that. $2 from Concord 327. A provision, you have nothing, you lose. Good day, sir. $2 from Greg Desitov. No evidence and doesn't want to see evidence. What the fuck? $5 from Jet Guitars. A cruel vision. If you have a P1000, point it at Jupiter and watch the moons orbit it day by day. I can show you my pics if you want. Gravity. Yes, I love all the pictures that are coming from the community lately. They're amazing. $1.99 from Martina Ista. A cruel vision. I don't understand it, therefore it can't be. Well, that's just every flat earth forever. £2.22 from Great Circle. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Where does the sun go at night? Magic. $5 from Gravity Axe. Done to your standards. Deceiver. $5 from translator Carmian. A crawl vision's recipe. 1, make a claim. 2, present no evidence. 3, demand evidence from other side. 4, move goalpost when the evidence is promptly presented. $2 from Fart Rhino. Get the crap out of your ears, CV. Use a Colt 1911. £1.99 from Alternative Evidence by Pablo Skalinsky. A crawl vision, prepare a future debate, no more excuses. Yep, I hope he comes with some evidence. 50 Donkey Kong dollars from -1724. He only came to debate the one picture, but then says that one picture is not enough. What a hypocrite. $1.99 from Propo Lols. Flat Earth is bleeding. Good work, FTFE. Do not resuscitate. $2 from Fart Rhino. No. Yeah, but hashtag NASA lies. It's them. $5 from Bubble Burster. Whenever he says, I'm not debating that or I'm not talking about that, he's been caught with no evidence. £2.22 from Great Circle. Wrap this up, FTFT. It's getting painful. $1.99 from Proper Laws. All hail FTFE, our Lord and Saviour. Yeah, apparently I'm a god. Who knew? £1.99 from Chris Gilroy. FTFE is my god. I'm part of the network. $10 from Harry SK. Vision, if you bought a brand new car, would you disassemble it, take a picture of every part from every angle before driving it? Discernment is the ability to perceive when something works unbiased. £1 from David Niabs with no message, thank you. 10,000 Wong from Coessa. I think these condescending Gish Gallatin types are more annoying than straight up bonkers Flerfs. I think I'd actually prefer Storm Delor Pratt. $5 from Jeffrey Greyjack, thanks. $5 from Alphabet. CV, image scaling is a linear transformation. It will not induce any form of distortion as claimed in the photo. That's what I tried to tell him. Worded much better, thank you. £2 from Great Circle.
Well, there's actually a way to demonstrate that, Greg.
Yeah.
Get a picture, draw a diagonal line or even a straight line anywhere from one side to the other, and then compress it left or right and see if it makes the line curved.
Yeah.
Try it in any software. I dare you.
$2 from Xantar2482. I'm a software developer. I'll debate this kid. $5 from K Crazy. Flerfers make up things rather than find the real answers. They have a high need for closure and they're religious, nothing more. 20 Canadian dollars from Flerfs are idiots. Amazing name. Hey FTFE, why is it so difficult for these basement-dwelling idiots to see the Earth is round? It's almost the year 2020 and we're still discussing the shape of the Earth. It is round because they're fucking idiots. $33.33 from Carrie Oliver. That was seriously painful. And $5 from Alan Hopfenberg. Can't wait to see the new shirts. I am FTFE and are those goalposts heavy? Yeah, I think I may need to release an I am FTFE t-shirt. I'll just see if any more come through. A couple more. $4.99 from Mayaku86. Riley for dumb fuck of the year 2019. JM is stupid, but Riley is stupider. $1.99 from Jose Reyes. You should crash the Flat Earth Convention in Texas. I'd love to, but I can't afford to get there. Team's doing it, though. £5 from Galby3000. A cruel vision is a troll. The amount of times he changed the goalpost proves it. Don't bother debating him again. $5 from Sevor. JM and Sleeping Warrior should have a fist fight to see who wins. Obviously, JM is trained in every fighting style, so good luck, Sleeping Warrior. Don't forget he's a modified sniper as well.
And a modified Spieler.
Yes, and a modified Spieler. But that's all for tonight. Miles, I'm really happy to see you back on the scene, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm not really back on the scene. I never really left the scene. But
yeah. It's always nice to see you come back and destroy Riley. You're welcome to destroy Riley anytime.
Maybe we could get a beer one day together.
Yeah, absolutely. I've met up with a couple of the guys that are around here, so yeah, for sure. And thank you for coming on. And I'll contact you next week about coming on for during my stream.
That'd be good. Look forward to that.
And thank you, Sean, for coming on and giving me your thoughts. It's always appreciated. Thank you, everyone, for watching tonight. It's been painful, as always. Be back tomorrow night on Team Skeptics channel as we have Simon Dan on for episode 009 of Science or Satire. But for tonight, guys, remember that stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat Earth. Oh, I failed. Fight the flat. Fight the flat. Fight the flat.